The rain hammered down like bullets on asphalt. Logan Pierce didn't plan to be a hero that night. He'd buried that man years ago. But when headlights caught the twisted metal of a patrol car wrapped around a guardrail, and he saw the officer slumped in the driver's seat, blood pooling faster than the rain could wash it away, something ancient stirred in his chest. A choice. The kind that changes everything. This is the story of one night that dragged a ghost back from the dead. Stick around until the end, hit that like button, and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. The windshield wipers on Logan's delivery van beat a rhythm that matched his exhaustion. 10 hours on the road. 43 packages delivered. 3 more stops before he could call it and head home to Mia. Thursday nights were movie nights. Her pick this week, probably something animated he'd pretend not to enjoy while secretly loving every minute. He rubbed his eyes at a red light. The rain had started an hour ago, turning Highway 47 into a black mirror that reflected nothing but trouble. Smart people stayed home in weather like this, but smart people didn't have bills that came whether the roads were dry or drowning. The light changed. Logan eased through the intersection, squinting through the downpour. The road ahead curved into darkness, swallowed by forest on both sides. No streetlights out here. No houses. Just asphalt and trees and the kind of isolation that made you remember how small you really were. That's when he saw it. The patrol car wasn't just off the road. It was destroyed. Wrapped around the guardrail like someone had taken a giant fist and crushed it there. The light bar still spun, casting blue and red streaks across the rain, turning the whole scene into something from a nightmare. Logan's foot hit the brake before his brain caught up. Keep driving. The thought came fast and cold. He had 3 packages left. Mia waiting at home. A life he'd built specifically to avoid moments like this. He wasn't that person anymore. Hadn't been for 6 years. But his hands were already turning the wheel. The van skidded slightly as he pulled onto the shoulder, tires fighting for grip on the flooded asphalt. He killed the engine. Sat there for 5 seconds, hands still on the wheel, rain hammering the roof like it was trying to beat sense into him. This is a mistake. He grabbed his phone. No signal. Of course not. They were 40 miles from anything that mattered, and the storm had probably knocked out half the towers between here and civilization. Logan pushed open the door and stepped into the rain. The cold hit him like a wall. Within seconds, he was soaked through, his jacket doing absolutely nothing against the deluge. He jogged toward the wreck, boots splashing through puddles that had already turned the shoulder into a shallow river. The patrol car's front end was accordioned, the hood buckled upward at an angle that shouldn't exist. The driver's side door hung open, half torn from its hinges. Through the rain and the strobing lights, Logan could make out a figure slumped against the steering wheel. "Hey!" He reached the car, gripping the doorframe. "Can you hear me?" No response. Logan leaned in. The officer was young, maybe 30, probably less. Dark hair plastered to his forehead, eyes closed, and blood. Christ, so much blood. It ran from somewhere under his tactical vest, spreading across his uniform, dripping onto the seat, mixing with rainwater on the floor. Logan's hand moved to the officer's neck, fingers finding the carotid. The pulse was there, but it was wrong. Too fast. Too weak. Thready, shock, blood loss, maybe internal bleeding. The thoughts came automatically, muscle memory from a life he'd sworn off. Logan caught himself, pulled back like he'd touched something electric. "Sir, can you hear me? I need you to stay with me." The officer's eyes fluttered, opened, unfocused, pupils dilated even in the flashing light. He tried to speak, but what came out was barely a whisper, lost in the rain. Logan leaned closer. "What happened? Where's your backup?" "Ambush!" The word came out wet, choked. "They knew." Who knew? Who did this? But the officer's eyes were already sliding shut again. Logan looked around. The road was empty. No other cars, no sirens in the distance. Nothing but rain and darkness, and a dying man who'd been left here like garbage. His phone was still useless. No signal. No way to call for help. The patrol car's radio was smashed, hanging from the dash by a tangle of wires. Even if he could get it working, what was he supposed to say? He didn't know where they were, not exactly. Route 47, somewhere between mile marker 23 and 30. That was a lot of ground for ambulances to cover. The officer coughed. Blood spattered his lips. Lung puncture. Maybe worse. Logan's jaw clenched. This wasn't his problem. This wasn't his world anymore. He'd walked away from all of this specifically because it always ended the same way, with someone bleeding out while you tried desperately to hold them together, knowing that all your training and all your skill couldn't change the fact that sometimes people just died and there was nothing you could do about it. He started to back away. The officer's hand shot out, grabbed Logan's wrist with surprising strength. His eyes opened again, clearer this time, desperate. Please. That one word. Logan closed his eyes, took a breath that tasted like rain and rust and regret. God damn it. Okay, he said. Okay, I've got you, but you need to stay awake, you hear me? Eyes open. He moved fast after that, the old training kicking in whether he wanted it to or not. First, assess the damage. The blood was coming from the officer's left side below the ribs. Logan carefully lifted the tactical vest. The uniform underneath was soaked through, dark and wet. He peeled back the fabric. Puncture wound, deep. Could be a broken rib driven inward, or something from the crash. Metal, glass, didn't matter. What mattered was stopping the bleeding before the officer ran out of time. Logan yanked off his jacket, then his shirt. The rain hit his bare skin like ice, but he ignored it. He wadded the shirt up, pressed it against the wound. The officer gasped, body going rigid. I know, Logan said. I know it hurts, but I need pressure here or you're going to bleed out. Who are you? Someone who's going to keep you alive. What's your name? Ramirez. Officer Michael Ramirez. All right, Michael. I'm Logan, and right now you're going to do exactly what I say. Keep talking to me. Tell me what happened. Ramirez's breathing was shallow, rapid. We got a tip. Drug shipment. Big one. I was first responder. Supposed to scout, call it in. But they were waiting. Ran me off the road, 2 vehicles. Came out of nowhere. He coughed again, winced. Shot at me. I returned fire, but lost control. Crashed. Logan maintained pressure on the wound, his other hand checking Ramirez's pulse again. Still weak. Still wrong. Where are they now? Gone. Think they thought I was dead. You're not dead. Not today. Logan looked back toward his van. He needed supplies, something better than a soaked t-shirt. His mind ran through possibilities. The van had a first aid kit, basic, probably useless. But there might be something. I'm going to my vehicle, he told Ramirez. I'll be right back. Keep pressure on this. Both hands. Don't let go. He guided Ramirez's hands to the makeshift compress. The officer's fingers were shaking, but he held on. Logan ran back to the van. The rain had somehow gotten worse, visibility down to almost nothing. He threw open the back doors, grabbed the first aid kit from under the driver's seat. It was a joke. Band-aids and gauze pads that wouldn't do anything for a wound this serious. Then he saw the cargo. Today's deliveries had included medical supplies for a clinic in Riverside. He'd already dropped off most of it, but there were a few boxes that had been marked for tomorrow's route. Logan tore into one. Sterile gauze, pressure bandages. Not ideal, but better than nothing. He grabbed everything useful and ran back. Ramirez was fading. His hands had slipped from the wound, and fresh blood was spreading across his uniform. Logan dropped beside him, ripped open the gauze packages, packed the wound properly this time. The pressure bandage went over top, wrapped tight around Ramirez's torso. Stay with me, Michael. Eyes open. Tired. I know, but you don't get to sleep yet. Tell me more. This drug shipment. Who tipped you off? Ramirez's eyes struggled to focus. Anonymous. Came through the hotline. Said tonight. This location. Big movement. You came alone? Protocol. Scout first. If it checked out, call back up. But they knew. Knew I'd come. Knew when. Logan's hands worked automatically, adjusting the bandages, checking the bleeding. It had slowed, but not stopped. Ramirez needed a hospital, needed surgery, needed things Logan couldn't give him out here in the rain. This network, Logan said, keeping Ramirez talking, keeping him conscious. You know who they are? Been working the case for months. Big operation. Drugs, weapons, smuggling. Run by someone called Constantine. Never seen him. Nobody has. But he's real. And he's... Ramirez's words dissolved into coughing. More blood. Logan's mind was racing now, connecting pieces he didn't want to connect. A network that big, that organized, that willing to ambush a cop and leave him to die. He knew that kind of operation. Knew it better than he wanted to. 6 years ago, when everything fell apart, it had been a similar setup, different names, same structure. The kind of people who treated human lives like commodities, who built empires on suffering and called it business. The kind of people who'd cost him everything. "How long have you been bleeding?" Logan asked, forcing himself back to the present. Don't know. Maybe 20 minutes? 30? Too long. Way too long. Even with the pressure bandages, Ramirez was running on borrowed time. His skin was pale, lips tinged blue. Classic signs of severe blood loss. His body was shutting down, prioritizing core organs, sacrificing everything else. Logan looked at the patrol car's radio again. Still dead. He checked his phone. Still no signal. They were on their own. "Listen to me, Michael. I need to move you. Your car's totaled, and you're going into shock. My van's got heat. I can stabilize you better there." Can't move. Hurts too much. "It's going to hurt more if you die. Come on." Logan got his arms under Ramirez, lifted carefully. The officer cried out, body seizing with pain, but Logan didn't stop. He carried him through the rain, every step measured, trying not to jostle the wound. Ramirez wasn't heavy, maybe 160 soaked, but Logan's muscles screamed anyway. 6 years behind a steering wheel had left him softer than he'd been. He got Ramirez into the van's passenger seat, adjusted the backrest so he was partially reclined. The bleeding had started again with the movement. Logan grabbed more gauze, reapplied pressure. "You're doing good," he told Ramirez. "Breathing stable, heart rate's holding. You're going to make it." "You sound like a medic." Logan didn't answer. He reached past Ramirez, cranked the heat as high as it would go. The van's engine was still running, and warm air started pouring from the vents. Ramirez's shivering began to ease. "Were you a medic?" "Long time ago." "Combat." Logan's hands stilled for just a second. Then he went back to work, checking the bandages, assessing Ramirez's color. "Something like that." "Thought so. You move like someone who's done this before." "Stay quiet. Save your energy." But Ramirez wasn't done. "The way you packed that wound, the way you carried me, that's not first aid training. That's real. That's in the past. And we're focused on right now. Right now you're bleeding, and I'm trying to stop it." Ramirez's eyes were clearer than they should be, the kind of clarity that sometimes came right before the end, when the body gave up and the mind got one last moment of lucidity before everything went dark. "Thank you," he said, "for stopping. Most people wouldn't have. Most people are smarter than me. No, most people are scared. There's a difference." Logan didn't respond to that. He focused on the wound, on the vital signs, on anything that wasn't the truth in what Ramirez had just said. The rain continued to hammer the van. Minutes passed. 5. 10. Ramirez's bleeding slowed to a seep. His pulse remained weak but steady. His breathing evened out. All good signs. But he still needed a hospital. "Tell me about this Constantine," Logan said. "How does his operation work?" "Why?" "Because you need to stay awake, and talking helps." Ramirez took a shallow breath. "Smart, careful, never shows his face, uses intermediaries for everything. The guys we've arrested, they don't know anything, just soldiers following orders. The money trail goes nowhere. It's like fighting a ghost." "Nobody's a ghost. Everyone makes mistakes." "You sound pretty sure about that." "I've seen a lot of ghosts. They all bleed the same when you find them." Ramirez studied him through half-closed eyes. "You're not just a delivery driver, are you?" "Yes, I am. Have been for 6 years." "But before that?" Logan checked the bandages again. "Before that doesn't matter." "Feels like it might. Feels like maybe you understand this world better than some random guy who pulls over to help." "Random guy who pulled over to help is all I am now." "But you weren't always." Logan met Ramirez's eyes. The officer was younger than him, probably by a decade, still had that look of someone who believed the system worked, who thought justice meant something. Logan had been like that once, back before he learned that sometimes the bad guys won and the good guys died, and all your training and all your skill couldn't change the math. I used to be a lot of things, Logan said finally. None of them worked out, so I drive a van and deliver packages and go home to my daughter. That's the whole story. But you saved my life tonight. Tonight was an exception. Why? Good question. Logan asked himself the same thing. Why had he stopped? Why had he gotten involved? 6 years of keeping his head down, avoiding exactly this kind of situation. 6 years of pretending that part of him didn't exist anymore. And then one crashed car, one dying cop, and all that careful distance evaporated like it had never been there. Because I happened to drive past, Logan said. Wrong place, wrong time. Or right place, right time, depending on how you look at it. I'm looking at it like someone who'd be dead right now if you hadn't. The radio crackled. Both of them froze. It came again, static, broken, but definitely sound. Logan grabbed his phone, still no signal. But the patrol car's radio must have had better range, or maybe the storm was shifting, or maybe they'd just gotten lucky. Stay here, Logan told Ramirez. He ran back to the wrecked patrol car, leaned in through the open door. The radio was hanging by its wires, sparking occasionally where rain got into the electronics. Logan grabbed it, carefully, checking the connections. Half the buttons were smashed, the display was dead, but the speaker still worked. He pressed the transmit button. This is a civilian on Route 47. Officer down. Repeat. Officer down. Need immediate medical assistance. Static answered him. He tried again. If anyone's receiving this, we've got an officer with a puncture wound, severe blood loss. I've stabilized him, but he needs a hospital. Route 47, approximately mile marker 25. Please respond. More static. Then, faint under the noise. Sach. Copy. Location? Units en route? The signal cut out completely after that. Logan tried 3 more times, got nothing but dead air. But it was enough. They'd heard him. Help was coming. He jogged back to the van. Backup's on the way. Ramirez nodded weakly. How long? Didn't get that part, but they're coming. Good. That's good. His eyes started to drift shut. Hey, not yet. Stay with me a little longer. Tired, man. So tired. Logan grabbed Ramirez's shoulder, shook it gently. I know, but you've made it this far. Don't quit on me now. Tell me about your family. You married? Engaged. Sarah. We're getting married next spring. Yeah? Where? Beach wedding. Her idea. I wanted something simple, but she had this whole vision. Said she'd been planning it since she was 12. Sounds like you better make it to spring then. Ramirez managed a weak smile. Trying. Really trying. What'd she do, Sarah? Teacher, 3rd grade. She's good at it. Really good. Kids love her. She know what you do? The dangerous stuff? She knows, doesn't like it, but she understands. It's who I am. Logan nodded slowly. He understood that. Understood the kind of person who needed to do the work, even when it cost them. Even when the people they loved begged them to walk away. It's why he'd finally walked away himself. Not because he wanted to, because Mia had needed him to. Because after her mother died, Logan was all she had left, and he couldn't keep running toward danger while she waited at home wondering if he'd come back. You got kids? Ramirez asked. 1 daughter, Mia. She's 11. Must be hard. Single dad. It's everything that matters. That why you left? Whatever you did before. Logan adjusted the pressure bandage, checked Ramirez's pulse again. Yeah, that's why I left. But you haven't forgotten how. No, I haven't forgotten. They sat in silence for a moment, just the sound of rain in the van's heater and Ramirez's labored breathing. Then Ramirez spoke again, quieter this time. This network. Constantine's operation. It's bigger than we thought. Bigger than just drugs. There's something else. Something we haven't figured out yet. Like what? Don't know, but the patterns are wrong. The shipments don't match the street distribution. There's money moving that doesn't track with what we're seeing. It's like the drugs are a cover for something else. Logan's attention sharpened. What kind of something else? If I knew, we'd have shut it down already. But my lieutenant thinks it's weapons. Maybe human trafficking. Something that needs the drug routes to move but isn't actually about the drugs. Your lieutenant have a name? Detective Sarah Chen, Organized Crime Unit. She's been on this for 2 years, got closer than anyone else. That's probably why they set this trap. They're trying to scare us off. Is it working? Ramirez's jaw tightened. No, it's not working. Headlights cut through the rain. Logan tensed, hand instinctively moving to his waistband before remembering he wasn't armed. Hadn't carried in 6 years. The lights got closer, and then he saw the light bar on top. Ambulance, followed by 2 patrol cars. Relief flooded through him. The ambulance pulled up behind the van. Paramedics piled out, moving fast. Logan opened the passenger door, stepped back to give them room. Puncture wound, left side, below the ribs, he told them, falling into the clinical tone he'd used a lifetime ago. Approximate blood loss between 800 and 1,000 milliliters. I've maintained pressure for 40 minutes. Vitals are weak, but stable. Pulse 110, breathing shallow, but regular. The lead paramedic, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes, looked at him with surprise. You medical? Was, long time ago. She nodded, didn't push. She and her partner got Ramirez onto a gurney, started IV lines, hooked up monitors. Their movements were efficient, professional. Logan watched them work, part of him still calculating, still assessing, still unable to completely turn off that part of his brain. One of the patrol officers approached him. Sir, I'm going to need a statement. Not much to tell. I was driving past, saw the crash, stopped to help. And you just happened to have medical training? I just happened to remember enough to keep him alive until you got here. That a problem? The officer studied him, clearly weighing something. No, sir. Not a problem. We appreciate what you did. Officer Ramirez is lucky you came along. Right place, right time. Can I get your name? Logan hesitated. Once he gave his name, it went into a report. Reports became records. Records became threads that could be pulled. And he'd spent 6 years making sure there were no threads. But Ramirez was already looking at him from the gurney, being loaded into the ambulance. And Logan knew that not giving his name would raise more questions than giving it. Logan Pierce. The officer wrote it down. Contact information? Logan gave him a phone number, an address. All real, all traceable, all exactly what he'd been avoiding for 6 years. The ambulance pulled away, sirens cutting through the rain. The patrol officers secured the scene, took photos of the wrecked car, marked evidence. They were professional, thorough. Logan stood by his van and watched them work, feeling the familiar weight of being back in this world, even peripherally. One of the officers came back over. You're free to go, Mr. Pierce. Detective Chen will probably want to talk to you tomorrow, get a more detailed statement. But for tonight, you've done enough. The detective working Ramirez's case? You know about that? He mentioned it, said she's been tracking this network. The officer's expression closed off. Can't really discuss an ongoing investigation, but yeah, she'll want to talk to you. Make sure you're available tomorrow. Logan nodded. He climbed back into his van, started the engine. His hands were shaking slightly. Adrenaline crash, delayed reaction to everything that had just happened. He gripped the steering wheel hard, forced them steady. The drive home took an hour. The rain finally let up around mile marker 40, giving way to low clouds and wet roads that gleamed under his headlights. Logan's mind wouldn't shut off. It kept replaying the scene, Ramirez bleeding out, the wound, the pressure bandages, the desperate fight to keep him conscious and breathing, and underneath that, other memories, other wounds, other fights. He'd sworn off this. Sworn off the chaos and the blood and the impossible choices. Had built a good life with Mia, simple and clean and safe. Tonight had shattered that simplicity like glass. And now he was sitting in his van at 2 a.m., soaked through and exhausted, wondering if he'd just opened a door he'd spent 6 years keeping closed. His phone buzzed. Signal had come back somewhere around mile marker 35. 3 missed calls from Mia. 4 texts. Are you okay? Dad, where are you? You said you'd be home by 10. I'm worried. Logan pulled over, called her. She answered on the first ring. Dad? Oh my God, I was freaking out. Are you okay? I'm fine, sweetheart. I'm sorry. I should have called earlier. What happened? You're never this late. He looked at the clock. 2:17 a.m. Almost 4 hours passed when he'd promised to be home. There was an accident, a police officer. I stopped to help. Is he okay? Yeah, paramedics got him. He's going to be fine. Are you okay? You sound weird. Logan closed his eyes. Mia knew him too well. Could read the stress in his voice even over the phone. I'm just tired, long night. I'll be home in 20 minutes. Okay. I stayed up. I couldn't sleep until I knew you were safe. Go to bed, Mia. I'll be there soon. Dad? Yeah? I'm glad you helped him, that officer. Mom would have been proud. Something tight formed in Logan's chest. Thanks, sweetheart. I'll see you soon. He ended the call, sat in the silence of the van. Rain had started again, light this time, just a mist against the windshield. Mia was right. Emma would have been proud. Emma had always believed in helping people, in doing the right thing even when it cost you something. It's what had gotten her killed. Logan shook his head, forced those thoughts away. That was a different situation, different circumstances. Tonight was just a coincidence, just bad timing. He'd helped Ramirez, the professionals had taken over, and now he could go back to his regular life. The detective would want a statement. Fine. He'd give a statement. Then that would be the end of it. He pulled back onto the road, headed for home. The house was dark except for the porch light Mia had left on. Logan parked in the driveway, killed the engine. His clothes were still damp, stained with blood he hadn't noticed in the dark. He'd have to throw them out. Couldn't explain that to Mia. He grabbed his jacket from the back, also ruined, and headed inside. Mia was asleep on the couch, TV on low, playing the end credits of whatever movie she'd been watching. Logan stood in the doorway for a moment, just looking at her. 11 years old, growing up too fast. She had Emma's dark hair, her stubborn chin, her way of seeing through every excuse Logan tried to make. He moved quietly, grabbed a blanket from the hall closet, covered her gently. She stirred but didn't wake. Logan watched her sleep for another moment, then headed upstairs to shower. The hot water felt like it burned. Logan stood under the spray until it ran cold, watching Ramirez's blood circle the drain, pink and then clear. His hands still worked on muscle memory, checking for wounds, assessing damage. Nothing serious. Bruises from carrying Ramirez, scraped knuckles from the rough edges of the patrol car. Minor stuff. But the shaking wouldn't stop. Logan braced himself against the shower wall, let the cold water hit him, forced his breathing to steady. This wasn't combat. This wasn't a war zone. This was just one night, one accident, one choice he'd made because he'd happened to be driving past. It didn't mean anything, didn't change anything. Tomorrow he'd give his statement, and then it would be over. He believed that right up until the moment he heard the knock on his door at 6 a.m. Logan opened the door, expecting maybe a neighbor, maybe someone selling something they shouldn't be selling at dawn. What he got was a woman in her late 30s, Asian, sharp suit under a rain jacket, detective's badge clipped to her belt. Mr. Pierce, I'm Detective Sarah Chen. Sorry about the early hour. Can I come in? Logan glanced back toward the living room where Mia was still asleep on the couch. It's not a great time. I understand, but Officer Ramirez is in surgery right now, and I need to ask you some questions while the details are fresh. I already gave a statement to the officers at the scene. I read it. Very thorough. Almost clinical. That's actually what I want to talk about. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. 5 minutes, that's all I need. Logan stepped aside, let her in. She moved past him into the hallway, taking in the house with quick, assessing glances. Cop eyes. Always cataloging, always measuring. Coffee? Logan asked. That'd be great. He led her to the kitchen, started the machine. The morning light was just beginning to filter through the windows, gray and weak. Chen sat at the table, pulled out a small notebook. So, she said, former combat medic. That's what the responding officers figured. Am I close? Logan leaned against the counter, arms crossed. Close enough. How long? 8 years. Got out in 2014. Army? Yeah. See much action? More than I wanted. Less than some people. Chen nodded, made a note. And you've been driving a delivery van since then? Since 2020. Before that, I did some private medical work, nothing exciting. Private medical work can mean a lot of things. In my case, it meant ER overflow at underfunded clinics, treating people who couldn't afford real hospitals, keeping my skills current while figuring out what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And what you wanted to do was deliver packages? Logan poured 2 cups of coffee, handed her one. What I wanted was a schedule, regular hours, a job where nobody bled on me, something I could leave at the office when I went home to my daughter. Admirable. Most people with your training would find that kind of work boring. Most people with my training haven't seen what happens when you make your whole life about other people's emergencies. Chen took a sip of coffee, watching him over the rim. Officer Ramirez told the paramedics you saved his life, said you worked on him for almost an hour before help arrived. That's a long time to keep someone stable with a puncture wound. I did what I could with what I had. The paramedics said your field dressing was textbook. Better than textbook, actually. They said it looked like something a surgeon would do. Logan didn't respond. He drank his coffee and waited for her to get to whatever point she was dancing around. Here's what interests me, Chen said, setting down her cup. We've been working this case for 2 years. Constantine's network. It's big, it's sophisticated, and it's violent. Last night was the first time they've directly targeted one of our officers. That tells me we're getting close to something they don't want us to find. Ramirez mentioned he was scouting based on a tip. Anonymous tip. Came through our hotline at 9 p.m. Very specific. Location, time, vehicle descriptions. Everything we needed to make an intercept. She paused. It was bait. They wanted him there. They wanted someone there. Ramirez just happened to be the one who responded. If it had been another officer, same result. They wanted to send a message. Back off or people start dying. Logan set his coffee down. Why are you telling me this? Because you're involved now. You stopped at that scene, you helped Ramirez, and that means there's a record. Report filed, your name in the system. If Constantine's people are as thorough as I think they are, they'll know someone helped their target survive. You think they'll come after me? I think it's a possibility. Then I'll be careful. Chen leaned forward. Careful might not be enough. These people are professionals. They don't leave loose ends. And right now, you're a loose end. What do you want from me, detective? I want you to tell me what you saw, what Ramirez said, anything that might help us. Logan ran through it in his head. The crash, the wounds, the conversation. Ramirez had been coherent enough to talk, to explain what happened. Some of what he'd said might be useful. He said it was an ambush, 2 vehicles. They ran him off the road, shot at him. He returned fire but lost control. Did he say anything about the people who did it? No, just that they left him for dead. What about the network? Did he mention specifics? Logan hesitated. This was where it got complicated. Ramirez had talked about the operation, about patterns that didn't add up, about Chen's theory that the drugs were a cover for something else, information that maybe Chen already knew, or maybe she didn't. He said, you think it's bigger than drugs, that there's something else moving through those routes. Chen's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. He told you that? He was bleeding out and trying to stay conscious. We talked to keep him focused. What else did he say? That the money doesn't track, that shipments don't match street distribution, that you've been on this for 2 years and gotten closer than anyone else. Anything else? Logan met her gaze. He said Constantine's a ghost, that everyone you've arrested doesn't know anything, just soldiers following orders. Chen sat back, processed that. He talked a lot for someone bleeding to death. Talking kept him alive, gave him something to focus on besides the pain. And you just happened to ask the right questions to get all this information. I asked questions that would keep him engaged. What those questions were didn't matter as much as keeping him awake. A sound from the living room made them both turn. Mia stood in the doorway, rumpled and sleepy, staring at Chen with open suspicion. Dad? Who's this? Logan moved toward her. This is Detective Chen. She's here about last night. Everything's fine. Mia looked between them, clearly unconvinced. Why is there a detective in our kitchen at 6 in the morning? I'm sorry to intrude, Chen said, standing. I just needed to ask your father a few questions about an accident he witnessed. We're done now. An accident? You said it was a police officer who got hurt. It was, Logan said. Car accident. I stopped to help until the paramedics arrived. Mia's eyes narrowed. She was too smart, picked up on things too quickly. That's why you were so late, and why you wouldn't talk about it. There wasn't much to talk about. I helped someone, professionals took over. I came home. Then why is a detective here? Chen smiled, and this time it looked genuine. Your dad's a hero. He saved an officer's life. I wanted to thank him personally and get his statement for our records. That's all. Mia didn't look convinced, but she nodded slowly. Okay, are you staying for breakfast? No, I need to get going. Thank you, though. Chen turned to Logan. Mr. Pierce, thank you for your time. If you think of anything else, please call me. She handed him a business card. And seriously, be careful. Keep your eyes open. Any unusual activity, anyone asking questions, you call me immediately. Logan walked her to the door. At the threshold, she paused. You know, she said quietly, Ramirez wasn't wrong. You do move like someone who's done this before. Not just medical work, something else. I drove a van for 6 years, Detective. Before that, I patched up soldiers. That's the whole story. Maybe. But the way you assessed that scene, the way you handled Ramirez, the questions you asked, that's not just medical training. That's tactical awareness. That's someone who's been in situations where every decision matters and mistakes cost lives. Logan said nothing. Chen studied him for another moment. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm a good listener, and I'm very good at keeping secrets. There's nothing to talk about. All right? She stepped out into the cool morning air. Take care of yourself, Mr. Pierce. And your daughter. She seems like a smart kid. She is. Chen walked to her car, a dark sedan parked at the curb. Logan watched until she drove away, then closed the door. Mia was standing in the hallway, arms crossed, wearing the exact expression Emma used to wear when she knew Logan was holding something back. What was that really about? Exactly what she said. Dad, I'm not stupid. Detectives don't show up at 6 a.m. to say thank you. What's going on? Logan moved past her to the kitchen, started pulling out breakfast supplies. Eggs, bread, the last of the bacon. The officer I helped last night, he was working a big case. The detective wanted to know if he said anything about it while I was treating him. Did he? Nothing important. But something. Mia, I'm not a kid anymore, Dad. I'm not going to freak out or fall apart. Just tell me what's happening. Logan cracked eggs into a bowl, whisked them harder than necessary. The officer was ambushed. Someone ran him off the road on purpose, left him to die. The detective thinks whoever did it might come after anyone who helped him. Mia went very still. They might come after you. She said it's a possibility. That's not the same as a probability. What's the difference? The difference is I'm not a cop. I'm not working the case. I was just someone who stopped to help. There's no reason for anyone to care about me. Except you kept their target alive. Logan looked at her. When had she gotten so good at cutting through his excuses? I'm being careful, he said. The detective gave me her number. If anything weird happens, I call her immediately. But nothing's going to happen. You don't need to worry. You're a terrible liar. I'm not lying. You're scared, I can tell. Logan set down the whisk, turned to face her fully. Yeah, I'm a little scared. Because people who ambush cops are dangerous, and I don't want that danger anywhere near you. But being scared doesn't mean something bad is going to happen. It just means I'm being smart about this. Mia was quiet for a long moment. Then, is this like before? Like when Mom died? Everything in Logan went cold. No, this is nothing like that. Because Mom was helping people too. And then, Mia, stop. This is completely different. How? Because I'm not Emma. I'm not working with dangerous people or putting myself in situations I can't control. I stopped at an accident, helped someone, and now it's over. That's it. But the detective said to be careful, so I'll be careful. But I'm not going to stop living my life because of a possibility that probably won't happen. Mia bit her lip, looked down. When she spoke again, her voice was small. I don't want to lose you too. Logan crossed to her, pulled her into a hug. She was getting taller, would probably be as tall as Emma by the time she hit high school. Growing up too fast, seeing too much. You're not going to lose me. I promise. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Because I'm going to be smart and careful and boring, just like I've been for the last 6 years. She pulled back, looked up at him. You're not boring. I deliver packages for a living. That's pretty much the definition of boring. You saved someone's life last night. That's not boring. It was an exception. What if there are more exceptions? Logan didn't have an answer for that. Instead, he turned back to the stove, finished making breakfast. They ate in silence, Mia picking at her food, Logan forcing himself to act normal even though his mind wouldn't stop running scenarios. Chen was right about one thing. He was involved now. His name was in the system. If Constantine's people were as thorough as she thought, they'd find him. The question was what they'd do about it. After breakfast, Logan drove Mia to school. She was quiet the whole way, staring out the window. At the drop-off, she hesitated before getting out. Dad, maybe you should call in sick today. Stay home. I can't hide every time something scares me. I'm not asking you to hide. I'm asking you to be safe. I'll be safe. I promise. He squeezed her hand. Go. Learn something. I'll pick you up at 3. She got out reluctantly, looked back twice before disappearing into the building. Logan drove to the distribution center, checked in, loaded his van. 47 packages today, mostly residential deliveries in the North End. He went through his route on autopilot, dropping boxes on porches, scanning confirmations, moving to the next address. But part of him was always watching, checking mirrors, noting vehicles that appeared more than once, cataloging faces, license plates, anything unusual. Old habits, the kind you never really lost. Around noon, his phone rang. Unknown number. This is Logan. Mr. Pierce, this is County General. Officer Ramirez asked us to call you. He wanted to thank you personally for what you did last night. Is he okay? He's out of surgery and stable. Would you like to speak with him? Logan pulled over into a gas station, put the van in park. Yeah, put him on. A moment of silence, then Ramirez's voice, rough and tired. Logan? Hey, you sound better than you did last night. Yeah, well, I'm not bleeding out in a van, so that's progress. Listen, I wanted to say thank you. The doctors told me if you hadn't done what you did, I wouldn't have made it to the hospital. You would have been fine. That's not what they're saying. They said the way you packed that wound, the pressure you maintained, that bought me the time I needed. So thank you. Seriously. Logan didn't know what to say to that. How's Sarah, your fiancée? Pissed off, scared, relieved, pretty much cycling through all of them every 10 minutes. Tell her you're going to be fine, and tell her the beach wedding is still on. Ramirez laughed, then winced. Ow, don't make me laugh, man. But yeah, I'll tell her. Hey, did Detective Chen come talk to you? This morning. What'd she want? Same thing you're about to ask me. What I saw. What you said. Did you tell her? Most of it. Ramirez was quiet for a moment. Listen, I know Chen can be intense, but she's good people. If she told you to be careful, she meant it. These guys were chasing. They don't mess around. I got that impression. I'm serious, Logan. Watch your back, and if you see anything weird, call her. Don't try to handle it yourself. I'm a delivery driver, Ramirez, not a cop. I don't handle anything except packages. You were more than that last night. Last night was different. Maybe. But just be careful, okay? You too. Focus on healing. Let the professionals handle the bad guys. After he hung up, Logan sat in the van for a few minutes, staring at nothing. The worry in Ramirez's voice had been real. Not just professional courtesy, genuine concern, which meant Chen hadn't been exaggerating the danger. Logan started the van, pulled back onto the road. He had 20 more deliveries before he could call it a day. He focused on the work, tried not to think about ambushes or criminals or the fact that he'd broken 6 years of careful distance in one impulsive decision. The afternoon passed without incident. No suspicious cars, no unfamiliar faces. By 2:30, Logan was done with his route and heading to pick up Mia. That's when he noticed the black SUV. It appeared 3 blocks from the school, fell in behind him at a comfortable distance. Nothing obviously threatening, just another vehicle on the road. Except Logan had been watching for exactly this. He took a right turn he didn't need to take. The SUV followed, left at the next intersection. The SUV stayed with him. Logan's pulse kicked up. He grabbed his phone, pulled up Chen's number. Before he could dial, the SUV accelerated, pulled alongside him at a red light. The passenger window rolled down. A man in his 50s, gray hair, expensive suit, smiled at him. "Mr. Pierce, we need to talk." Logan's hand moved to the door lock, already calculating escape routes. "Relax," the man said. "If we wanted to hurt you, you'd already be hurt. We just want to have a conversation." "I'm not interested in conversations with people who follow me. 5 minutes, that's all. There's a coffee shop 2 blocks ahead. Meet us there. Come alone." "And if I don't?" The man's smile didn't waver. "Then you keep wondering who we are and what we want. That seems like the kind of uncertainty a father with a young daughter wouldn't enjoy." The light changed. The SUV pulled ahead, turned into the parking lot of a small coffee shop. Logan sat at the intersection, hands gripping the wheel. Every instinct said, drive away, call Chen, let the professionals handle it. But the man was right. Not knowing was worse than knowing. And if these people knew about Mia, knew his schedule, knew where he'd be, then running wouldn't keep them away. He pulled into the coffee shop parking lot. The man was waiting outside, alone now. The SUV was parked nearby, windows tinted so Logan couldn't see if anyone else was inside. "Thank you for coming," the man said. "I'm Marcus Reeves. I represent a group of concerned citizens who've been following your story." "What story? I stopped at an accident." "You stopped at a carefully orchestrated ambush and saved the life of an officer who's been causing significant problems for certain business interests. That's not just stopping at an accident, that's choosing a side." Logan didn't move from his van. "I didn't choose anything. I helped someone who was dying. That's it. But now you're involved. Your name is in reports. Detective Chen visited you this morning. Officer Ramirez called you from his hospital bed. Whether you intended to or not, you've positioned yourself as an asset to the people trying to destroy a very profitable operation. I'm not an asset to anyone. Maybe not intentionally, but perception matters. And right now the perception is that you're sympathetic to law enforcement's efforts against Constantine's network. I don't even know who Constantine is." Reeves smiled. "That's wise, keeping your distance. But it might be too late for that." "What do you want?" "I want to offer you a choice. You can continue down this path, talking to detectives, helping cops, making yourself a problem. Or you can step back. Go back to your quiet life delivering packages. Forget about Officer Ramirez. Forget about Detective Chen. And let other people handle their own business. That's it? Just walk away? Just walk away. And in exchange, we forget about you, too. Your daughter gets to keep her father. You get to keep your peaceful existence. Everyone wins." Logan studied him. Reeves was calm, confident, clearly used to getting what he wanted. The kind of man who'd learned that money and influence could solve most problems. "And if I say no, then you become a problem that needs solving. I'd rather not go that route, Mr. Pierce. I'm a businessman, not a thug. I prefer elegant solutions to messy ones. But I'm also practical. If you're going to be an obstacle, you'll be removed. Those are simply facts. You're threatening my daughter. I'm offering you a chance to protect her. There's a difference." Logan felt something old and cold settle into his chest. The same feeling he used to get right before things went bad in the field. The moment when you realized talking was over and action was the only thing left. "Let me make sure I understand," he said carefully. "You're asking me to ignore a criminal organization that tried to kill a cop, and in exchange, you won't hurt me or my kid." That's a crude way of putting it, but essentially yes. "And you think I'll agree to that because I'm scared? I think you'll agree to that because you're smart. You're a father. You understand priorities. Your daughter matters more than some cop you met for an hour." Logan opened his van door, stepped out. Reeves took an instinctive step back. "Here's my answer," Logan said quietly. "Go back to whoever sent you. Tell them I'm not interested in their offer. Tell them if they come near me or my daughter, it won't be elegant. It'll be messy, and it'll be permanent." Reeves's expression hardened. "That's a mistake." "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." "You don't know what you're dealing with." "Yeah, I do. I've dealt with people like you before. Different continent, same playbook. Threats wrapped in reasonable words. Violence dressed up as business. I know exactly what you are. Then you should know better than to refuse. I know better than to negotiate with people who threaten children. Logan got back in his van, started the engine. Reeves stood in the parking lot watching him. Not angry, calculating, running numbers, assessing costs, deciding next moves. Logan drove away without looking back. His hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't adrenaline crash. It was anger. Pure, cold anger at people who thought they could use Mia as leverage, who thought a few threats would make him roll over. They'd made a serious miscalculation. He called Chen while driving. She answered immediately. "Detective, it's Logan Pierce. We need to talk." "What happened?" "I just got approached by someone representing Constantine's network. They made an offer. I declined. Now they're probably going to escalate." A pause. Then, "Where are you?" "Heading to my daughter's school. I need to pick her up and make sure she's safe." "Do that. Then come to the station. We need to figure out protection protocols." "I don't want protection. I want these people gone." "Mr. Pierce, they threatened my daughter, detective. That changes things." Another pause, longer this time. When Chen spoke again, her voice was different, harder. "Come to the station. We'll talk about options." Logan hung up, checked his mirrors. No black SUV, no obvious tail. But that didn't mean they weren't watching. He pulled up to Mia's school right at 3. She came out with a group of friends, laughing about something. Normal, safe. Exactly how her life should be. She climbed into the van, still smiling. Then she saw his face, and the smile died. "What happened?" "We're going to the police station. I'll explain on the way." "Dad, you're scaring me." "I know. I'm sorry. But I need you to trust me right now." He pulled away from the school, watching the mirrors, taking a deliberately complicated route to make sure nobody followed. Mia sat quietly, hands clenched in her lap. "Some people approached me today," Logan said finally. "People involved with the case Officer Ramirez was working. They wanted me to stay out of it. I said no." "Why would you say no? If they're dangerous?" "Because saying yes doesn't keep us safe. It just kicks the problem down the road. These people don't forget. They don't forgive. The only way to be safe is to make sure they can't hurt us." "And how do we do that?" "By working with Detective Chen, by helping her finish what Ramirez started, by making sure the people who think they can threaten us learn they picked the wrong target." Mia stared at him. "You sound different." "Different how?" "I don't know, like you're not scared anymore. Like you're angry." Logan glanced at her. "I am angry, very angry, but I'm also still your dad, and keeping you safe is the only thing that matters. You understand that?" She nodded slowly. "Are we going to be okay?" "Yes. We're going to be okay." He hoped he wasn't lying. The police station smelled like burnt coffee and old paperwork. Chen met them at the front desk, her expression tight when she saw Mia. "Conference room 2, she said. "It's more comfortable." She led them down a hallway lined with bulletin boards covered in wanted posters and community outreach flyers. The conference room was small, windowless, with a table that had seen better decades. Chen closed the door behind them. "Mia, I'm Detective Chen. We met this morning." "I remember." Mia's voice was small but steady. "Your dad told me what happened. I want you to know we're going to keep both of you safe. That's my priority right now." "How?" Mia asked. "If these people know where we live, where I go to school, how do you keep us safe from that?" Chen pulled out a chair, sat down across from them. "First, we move you. Temporary relocation. A safe house outside the city. It's not permanent, just until we can neutralize the threat." Logan shook his head. "Running doesn't solve this. They'll wait us out, and Mia can't just disappear from her life. She has school, friends. She also has a father who just refused an offer from a criminal organization. Mr. Pierce, these people don't make threats lightly. If they said they'd come after you, they will." "I know that, which is why I'm not running. I'm ending it." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Ending it how?" "You've been chasing Constantine for 2 years. You're close enough that they're trying to scare you off by ambushing your officers. That means you have leverage. You have information. Use it. Use me. You're a civilian." I was a lot of things before I was a civilian. Combat medic, yeah, but also field operations. I worked with teams that went places regular military couldn't go. I know how these networks operate. I know how to find the weak points. Chen leaned back, studying him. You're talking about going active, inserting yourself into an ongoing investigation. I'm talking about finishing what Ramirez started. He got close enough to make them nervous. Let's make them terrified. This isn't some war zone overseas, Mr. Pierce. This is domestic law enforcement. We have rules, procedures. And those rules have kept you chasing ghosts for 2 years while Constantine keeps operating. Maybe it's time to change tactics. Mia's hand found Logan's arm. Dad, what are you saying? You want to go after these people? He turned to her. I'm saying I'm not going to spend the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders. I'm saying these people made a mistake when they threatened you, and I'm going to make sure they understand that. By doing what? Fighting them? You're one person. I'm one person who knows what I'm doing, and I'm not fighting alone. He looked at Chen. You want Constantine. I want my daughter safe. Those goals aren't mutually exclusive. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood, walked to the door, checked the hallway. When she came back, she closed the door firmly. What I'm about to say doesn't leave this room. Understood? Logan nodded. Mia did too, though she looked scared. We have an operation planned. 3 days from now. We've traced a major shipment coming through the port. Weapons, we think, based on the routing. It's the biggest movement we've seen in months. If we can intercept it and follow the distribution chain, we might be able to identify Constantine's lieutenants. Maybe even Constantine himself. 3 days, Logan said. That's not much time. It's what we have. The shipment won't wait. But here's the problem. After what happened to Ramirez, my team is spooked. Half of them think we should pull back, wait for backup from federal agencies. The other half want to hit it hard and fast before Constantine changes the plan. What do you think? I think if we wait, we lose our window. But if we hit it without proper planning, more people end up like Ramirez. Or worse. Logan understood what she wasn't saying. She needed someone who could think tactically, who understood how to plan an operation against an entrenched enemy, someone who'd done it before. You want me to consult. I want you to help us not get killed. The tactical team is good, but they're used to domestic situations. Drug busts, warrant executions. This is different. Constantine's people are organized, disciplined, military grade. We need someone who can think like them. I haven't done this kind of work in 6 years. Ramirez is alive because you haven't forgotten how. We both know that. Mia stood up abruptly. No, absolutely not. Dad, you can't do this. Mia, you said we'd be safe. You said we'd figure it out. This isn't figuring it out. This is you going to war. Logan reached for her hand, but she pulled away. This is how we end it. If that operation succeeds, Constantine's network falls apart. Without the network, there's no threat. And if it fails, if you get hurt, then what happens to me? The question hung in the air like smoke. Chen spoke carefully. Mia, I know this is scary, but your dad is right about one thing. Running doesn't solve this. These people know who you are, where you are. The only way to be truly safe is to remove the threat entirely. By risking his life? By using his skills to make sure nobody else risks theirs unnecessarily. We're doing this operation with or without him. With him, more people come home. That's the math. Mia looked at Logan, eyes bright with tears she was fighting not to shed. You promised. After Mom, you promised you wouldn't do this anymore. I promised I wouldn't make my life about other people's emergencies. This is different. This is about us, about making sure you're safe. I'm safe with you alive. I'm not safe with you dead. She walked out of the conference room before Logan could respond. He started to follow, but Chen caught his arm. Give her a minute. Let her process. I need to talk to her. You need to let her be scared, because she's right to be scared. This is dangerous, and she knows it. Logan pulled free, went into the hallway. Mia was sitting on a bench near the front desk, arms wrapped around herself. He sat down next to her. I'm sorry, he said. Don't apologize. Just don't do it. If I don't, someone else will. Someone who doesn't have the training or experience, and they might not come back. Is that better? I don't care about someone else. I care about you. I know, but I care about you more than I care about staying safe. And if there's even a chance that helping with this operation means you don't have to be afraid anymore, I have to take it. Mia wiped her eyes angrily. You sound like Mom. She said the same things about helping people, about doing what's right. And then she died and you fell apart and I lost both of you for 2 years. The words hit harder than any punch. Logan had known Mia remembered those years after Emma's death. The drinking, the isolation, the way he'd checked out of being a father because he couldn't handle being anything. But hearing her say it out loud made it real in a way it hadn't been before. You're right, he said quietly. After your mom died, I wasn't there for you. I was so lost in my own pain that I forgot you were in pain too. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I made you grow up too fast. I don't want another apology. I want you to stay. I am staying. I'm just helping them plan. I'm not going into the field. I'm not putting myself in danger. She looked at him with Emma's eyes, seeing through every lie he'd ever told. You're going to be there when it happens. I know you are. Logan wanted to deny it, wanted to promise he'd stay behind, safe and uninvolved, but he'd already made too many promises he might not be able to keep. If I am, he said carefully, it'll be because I'm the best chance they have of everyone coming home alive, including me. That's not good enough. It's all I've got, Mia. I wish I could give you better. I wish I could promise nothing will happen. But I can't lie to you, not about this. She was quiet for a long time. Then, if you die, I'll never forgive you. Oh, fair enough. I mean it. I'll hate you forever. I understand. And I won't visit your grave or say nice things about you or any of that. You'll just be the dad who left me alone. Logan's throat tightened. Okay. Okay? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? That I won't go? I can't promise that nothing will happen. I can't promise that either. All I can promise is that I'll do everything in my power to come back to you, because you're the only thing that matters. Mia stood up, looked down at him with an expression too old for her face. Then make sure you do, because I already lost one parent. I can't lose both. She walked toward the exit. Logan called after her. Where are you going? I'm 11, not stupid. I'm going to sit in the van and be mad at you. You're going to go talk to the detective about your stupid plan. Then we're going home, and you're going to make dinner and pretend everything's normal while I pretend I'm not terrified. She pushed through the doors before he could respond. Logan sat on the bench, head in his hands. This was why he'd stayed away from this life. This exact moment. The look on his daughter's face when she realized her father was choosing danger over safety, choosing principle over presence. Chen appeared beside him. That went well. Don't. I'm serious. She's scared, but she understands. That's more than most kids her age would. She shouldn't have to understand. She should have a normal life with a normal dad who doesn't get approached by criminals in coffee shop parking lots. But you're not that dad. And she knows it. The question is whether you're going to help us or not. Logan looked up at her. You're really asking me to plan an operation against armed criminals with 3 days' notice. I'm asking you to do what you're good at, what you were trained for, just one more time. And then what? After this operation, after we take down Constantine, you think they'll just leave us alone? If we do this right, there won't be a they to worry about. We cut off the head, the body dies. That's not how these organizations work. You know that. Then we cut off enough heads that whoever's left decides you're not worth the trouble. Logan stood, looked through the glass doors to where Mia sat in the van, staring at her phone, trying to look anywhere but at the police station. I need guarantees about Mia's safety. You'll have them. Protective detail, surveillance on your house, direct line to me 24/7. Not good enough. I want her out of the city, somewhere they can't find her, with someone I trust. Who did you have in mind? Logan thought about it. He didn't have much family left. Emma's sister lived in Colorado, had been asking for years if Mia could visit. She'd be safe there, far enough away that even if things went wrong, she'd be protected. My sister-in-law, Denver. I'll send Mia there tomorrow. She won't want to go. She doesn't have to want it. She just has to be safe. Chen nodded. All right. I'll arrange transport, discreet, and we'll have someone watching her aunt's place just in case. When do we start planning? Tonight. I'll get the team together. You come in around 7. We'll walk through what we know, figure out approach vectors. I need to see the intelligence first, everything you have on the shipment, the route, Constantine's known associates. I'll have it ready. Logan walked toward the exit, then stopped. Detective? Why me? You could have consultants, tactical experts, federal resources. Why are you trusting this to a delivery driver? Chen met his eyes. Because Ramirez told me something before he went into surgery. He said you moved like someone who'd been in situations where every decision mattered and mistakes cost lives. He said you had the kind of calm that comes from seeing the worst and still functioning. That's not something you get from training. That's something you earn. I could be rusty. 6 years is a long time. Muscle memory doesn't rust. And right now, I need someone who understands that this isn't just another bust. This is war, and I need someone who knows how to win wars. Logan didn't respond. He pushed through the doors, got into the van next to Mia. She didn't look at him. Denver, he said. You're going to stay with Aunt Rachel for a few days. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. Tomorrow. I'm putting you on a plane. And if I refuse? Then I'll have Detective Chen put you in protective custody. Either way, you're going somewhere safe. Mia finally looked at him. You're serious? Completely. What if I run away? What if I get off the plane and come back? Then you'll be proving that you're exactly as stubborn as your mother, and I'll have to deal with it. But you'll still be safer in Denver than here. I hate you right now. I know. I really, really hate you. I know. She turned away, stared out the window. Logan started the van, pulled out of the parking lot. The drive home was silent, except for the sound of tires on wet pavement and Mia's occasional sniffling. At home, Logan made dinner, spaghetti, Mia's favorite, though she barely touched it. She went to her room immediately after, closed the door harder than necessary. Logan cleaned up, then sat at the kitchen table with his laptop. He pulled up everything he could find on Constantine's network. News articles about arrests, court records, DEA bulletins. The pattern Chen had mentioned was there. Large movements that didn't match street-level distribution. Money flowing through channels that didn't make sense for a drug operation. His phone buzzed, a text from Chen with an address and a time. 7 p.m., Warehouse District, come alone. Logan checked on Mia around 6. She was packing, angry tears running down her face as she shoved clothes into a suitcase. I can help. Get out. He backed away, closed the door, gave her the space she needed to be furious. At 6:45, he knocked again. I'm leaving for a few hours. Will you be okay? No. Mia, just go. Do your thing. Save the world. Whatever. I'll be here packing for my forced vacation. Logan wanted to push, to make her understand, but there wasn't time and there weren't words that would fix this. I love you, he said through the door. No response. He drove to the warehouse district as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. The address Chen had given him was an old industrial building, half the windows broken, graffiti covering the lower walls. Not the kind of place you'd expect to find cops planning an operation, which was probably the point. Logan parked, checked his surroundings out of habit. No obvious surveillance, no signs of a setup. He walked to a side door, knocked twice. Chen opened it. You came, said I would. She led him through a maze of empty rooms to what had probably once been an office. Now it was filled with folding tables covered in maps, photographs, computer equipment. 5 people were already there. 3 men in tactical gear, 1 woman in a suit, and Ramirez. What the hell are you doing here? Logan said. You had surgery yesterday. Ramirez grinned from a folding chair, looking pale but determined. Doctor said I should rest. Didn't say where. Like, you should be in a hospital bed. I'll rest when Constantine's done. Besides, you saved my life. Least I can do is be here when we plan how to end his. Chen gestured to the others. This is Lieutenant Marcus Shaw, tactical team leader, Officers Davis and Kim, entry specialists, and Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Walsh, who will make sure whatever we do stands up in court. Shaw was in his 40s, solid build, the kind of cop who'd probably been doing this since before Logan joined the Army. He looked at Logan with open skepticism. So you're the miracle worker Chen's been talking about. I'm the guy who stopped at an accident. You're also the guy who's supposedly going to tell us how to take down a military-grade criminal operation with 3 days' notice. I'm going to help you not die trying. There's a difference. Shaw's expression didn't change. We've been doing this job for 20 years. We know how to handle tactical situations. Domestic tactical situations. Drug houses, warrant service, hostage scenarios. This is different. How? Logan walked to the table, looked at the maps. The port layout was marked with red circles indicating probable entry points. Shipping manifests were highlighted. Surveillance photos showed containers being loaded onto trucks. Because these people aren't amateurs. They ambushed a cop on a public road and disappeared without a trace. That takes planning, coordination, resources. Your standard bust-down-the-door approach will get people killed. Shaw crossed his arms. What would you suggest instead? I'd suggest understanding what we're actually up against before we commit to action. Chen, what do we know about the shipment? Chen pulled up photos on a laptop. Shipping container arriving at Port 7 tomorrow night. Manifested as industrial equipment. We have intelligence suggesting it's actually weapons, rifles, handguns, possibly explosives. Source of the intelligence? Informant inside the organization, low-level courier who got picked up on an unrelated charge and decided to trade information. How reliable? Hard to say. He's given us good intel before, but this is bigger than anything he's provided previously. Logan studied the photos. So we trust him, set up an intercept, and hope we're not walking into another ambush. That's the concern, Chen admitted. What's the distribution plan? Container arrives, then what? Gets loaded onto trucks. We think 3, maybe 4 vehicles. They'll split up, take different routes to different warehouses around the city. And you want to hit them en route. Or at the port, depending on what makes tactical sense. Logan shook his head. Neither. Both options give them too much control. At the port, they choose the ground, they know the layout. En route, they can scatter, go to ground before you can coordinate pursuit. Shaw leaned forward. So what's your play? We let them deliver. Follow the trucks to the warehouses, hit all locations simultaneously. That way we get the weapons, the distribution network, and whoever's running the local operation. That requires perfect coordination, Davis said. He was younger than Shaw, maybe 30, with the kind of intensity that came from wanting to prove himself. If even one team is late, the others get warned and we lose everything. Then we make sure no team is late. We plan for every contingency, we build in redundancy, and we practice until everyone can do their job in their sleep. In 3 days? Kim asked. She was small, compact, looked like she could slip through spaces most people wouldn't see. That's not enough time. It's the time we have, so we use it efficiently. Walsh spoke up for the first time. From a legal standpoint, following the trucks means we maintain chain of custody on the contraband. We can track it from port to destination, prove distribution intent. That's stronger than an intercept. From a survival standpoint, Logan said, it means we choose the battleground instead of fighting on theirs. That's the difference between a successful operation and a bloodbath. Shaw was quiet for a long moment. Then, all right, walk us through it. What's the plan? Logan looked at the maps again, his mind already working through the problem. It was like putting on an old coat, uncomfortable at first, then familiar. He could see the operation taking shape, see the moving pieces, see where things could go wrong and how to prevent it. First, we need better intelligence. Chen, can your informant tell us exactly how many trucks, exact routes, exact destinations? I can ask. Do it. We need that information by tomorrow morning. Second, we need aerial surveillance. Drones, helicopters, whatever we can get. I want eyes on those trucks from the moment they leave the port until they stop moving. I can arrange that, Shaw said. Third, we need teams positioned at every likely warehouse location before the trucks arrive. No sirens, no obvious presence. Ghost protocol until everyone's in position. How do we know which warehouses? Davis asked. We don't, so we cover all of them. Chen, how many properties has your investigation linked to Constantine's network? 12 confirmed, another 8 suspected. We'll need teams for all 20, spread thin, but better than missing a location. Shaw whistled. That's more manpower than we have. Then we bring in more. State police, federal agents, whoever we can trust to stay quiet and follow orders. Walsh shook her head. The more people involved, the bigger the risk of leaks. The bigger risk is going in undermanned and getting slaughtered. We need overwhelming force synchronized perfectly. That's the only way this works. Ramirez shifted in his chair, wincing. What about Constantine himself? If we hit the warehouses, we get his soldiers, but he'll disappear. Logan had been thinking about that. We don't need to catch him in the act. We need to catch his money. Walsh, what happens if we seize his assets, his properties, his accounts, everything we can trace? If we can prove it's proceeds from criminal activity, we can freeze it, eventually forfeit it. But that takes time, court orders. Start the process now, before the operation. Get warrants ready for every property, every account. The second we have evidence from the warehouses, we execute simultaneously, hit his operation and his resources at the same time. Chen nodded slowly. He can't run an organization without money. And he can't rebuild if we take everything. Even if he escapes arrest, we've destroyed his empire. That's the goal. Shaw looked at Logan with new respect. You've done this before. Different circumstances, same principles. Where? Logan met his eyes. Places that don't matter anymore. What matters is making sure this operation succeeds and everyone goes home. They worked through the night, refining the plan, identifying weak points, building contingencies. By midnight, they had a framework. By 2 a.m., they had specific assignments for each team. By 4 a.m., Logan's eyes were burning and his hands were cramping from writing on the maps. Chen called a break. Most of the team went outside to smoke or call home. Logan stayed at the table, staring at the plan they'd built. Ramirez rolled his chair closer. You doing okay? Tired. That's not what I meant. Logan glanced at him. I'm fine. Liar. You look like someone who's fighting himself as much as he's fighting the plan. I've got a daughter who hates me right now because I'm doing this instead of running. That's weighing on me. She doesn't hate you. She's scared. There's a difference. Not much of one. There is when you come back alive. Then she's just relieved and everything else fades. Logan hoped that was true. How's Sarah, your fiancée? Pissed that I'm here instead of recovering, but she gets it. She knows this is what I do. Must be nice, having someone who understands. You had that, with your wife. Logan stiffened. How do you know about Emma? Chen told me. Not details. Just that you lost someone and it changed you. Made you walk away from this life. Emma didn't understand. She hated what I did. Hated that I kept choosing it over her and Mia. But you're choosing it again now, for different reasons. Are they really different, or are you just telling yourself that so it hurts less? Logan stood abruptly. I need air. Outside, the sky was starting to lighten, that strange pre-dawn gray that wasn't quite night but wasn't yet day. Logan leaned against the building, let the cool air clear his head. Chen joined him a moment later. Ramirez has a gift for saying exactly the wrong thing at the right time. He's not wrong, though. I am choosing this. Same way I always did? With one difference. This time, you're choosing it to protect your daughter, not despite her. Emma would say that's just another excuse. Emma's not here, and you are. That's what matters. Logan looked at her. You never talk about yourself. Family, personal life. You're always working. There's not much to talk about. Divorced, no kids. This job is pretty much everything. That sounds lonely. It is, but it's also purpose. Some people need that more than they need company. Is that what you tell yourself? Chen smiled. Every single day. Usually while drinking bad coffee at 3 a.m. in a warehouse, planning operations that'll probably get me killed. Seems like a pattern. Seems like we both have our demons. They stood in silence, watching the sun start to edge over the horizon. In a few hours, Logan would have to take Mia to the airport. In 3 days, he'd be part of an operation that could end with people dying. And somewhere in between, he had to figure out how to be the father she needed while also being the person Chen's team needed. The weight of it settled on him like physical pressure. I should get home, he said. Mia's leaving this morning. The plane's at 9. I'll have a car pick her up, take her to the airport. You don't have to do it. Yes, I do. She's already angry enough. If I send her away without even saying goodbye, she'd never forgive you. Exactly. Chen nodded. Go. Be with your daughter. We'll reconvene at 1400. By then, I'll have the updated intelligence from the informant. Logan drove home as the city woke up around him. Early commuters, delivery trucks, People starting their days with no idea that in 3 days, the whole city might be different. Mia was in the kitchen when he arrived, suitcase by the door, wearing the stubborn expression she got when she'd made up her mind about something. "I'm not going," she said before he could speak. "Yes, you are." "You can't make me." "Actually, I can, and I will, even if I have to carry you onto the plane myself." "I'll scream. I'll tell everyone you're kidnapping me." "Then you'll be embarrassed, and you'll still end up in Denver. The ending doesn't change, Mia." She glared at him, jaw set. God, she looked like Emma in that moment. Same fire, same refusal to back down. "This isn't fair." "I know. If something happens to you while I'm gone, then Aunt Rachel will take care of you, but nothing's going to happen. I'm going to help these people, and then I'm going to come get you, and we're going to go back to our boring, normal lives." "You promise?" Logan wanted to give her that certainty. But he'd learned the hard way that some promises couldn't be kept. "I promise I'll do everything possible to make that happen." "That's not the same." "It's the best I can give you." Mia's eyes filled with tears. "I can't lose you too, Dad. I can't." Logan crossed to her, pulled her into a hug. She fought it for a second, then collapsed against him, sobbing into his chest. "I know, baby, I know. But this is how we stay together, by making sure the people who want to hurt us can't." "What if you're wrong? What if this just makes everything worse?" "Then I'll figure it out. I always do." She pulled back, wiped her eyes. "Mom used to say that, right before things went wrong." The comparison hurt more than it should have. "I'm not Mom." "No, you're worse, because at least she admitted when she was scared." Logan looked at his daughter, 11 years old and already too wise, too aware of how fragile everything was. "You want to know if I'm scared?" "Are you?" "Terrified. Every time I think about what could go wrong, I'm terrified. But I'm more terrified of what happens if I do nothing, of spending the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders, of teaching you that when bad people threaten you, you run and hide. That's not the world I want you to grow up in." Mia was quiet. "Then, what if I said I'd rather run and hide if it meant keeping you safe?" "Then I'd tell you that safety isn't the same as being alive. And I'd rather you be alive and brave than safe and afraid." "That's a terrible answer." "Yeah, it is." The car Chen promised arrived at 8:30. Logan loaded Mia's suitcase into the trunk, helped her into the back seat. The driver was a plainclothes officer, professional and quiet. "Take care of her," Logan told him. "I will, sir. She'll be on the plane, and we'll have someone meet her in Denver." Logan turned to Mia. She was staring straight ahead, refusing to look at him. "I'll call you tonight," he said. No response. "I love you, Mia." Still nothing. The car pulled away. At the last second, Mia looked back through the rear window. Their eyes met. And even from a distance, Logan could see the fear there. The same fear he was carrying. He stood in the driveway until the car disappeared around the corner. Then he went inside, sat at the kitchen table, and let himself fall apart for exactly 5 minutes. When the timer on his phone went off, he stood, washed his face, and got ready to go to war. The 3 days before the operation moved like they were stuck in amber, slow and suffocating, each hour stretching longer than the last. Logan threw himself into the planning, spending 18-hour days at the warehouse with Chen's team, refining every detail until his brain felt like it would leak out his ears. The informant came through with the intelligence they needed. 4 trucks, 5 warehouse locations, routes mapped down to individual street corners. Chen's people verified what they could through surveillance, cross-referenced with known properties. Everything lined up almost too perfectly, which made Logan nervous. "It feels like a gift," he told Chen on the second day. They were alone in the warehouse, everyone else having gone home for a few hours of sleep. "Constantine's been ghost for 2 years. Now suddenly we have exact locations, exact times, exact routes." "You think it's a setup?" "I think it's convenient, and convenient usually means dangerous." Chen poured stale coffee from a thermos, offered him a cup. He took it even though it tasted like battery acid. "What would you do if you were running this operation and new law enforcement was closing in?" Logan thought about it. "I'd give them something to chase, something big enough to pull all their resources in one direction. Then I'd move the real operation somewhere else. So the shipment could be a decoy. Or it could be real, and Konstantin's counting on us being too paranoid to hit it. Either way, he controls the narrative. Then we proceed as planned, but build in contingencies. If it's a decoy, we adapt. If it's real, we capitalize. And if people die because we guessed wrong, Chen met his eyes. Then they die doing the job they signed up for. Same as any operation. You can't guarantee outcomes, Logan. You can only maximize probability. I used to tell myself the same thing. Didn't make the funerals any easier. No, it never does. Logan called Mia every night. The conversations were stilted, painful. She was staying with Rachel in a suburb outside Denver, hating every minute of it. Rachel tried to make it fun, movies, shopping, day trips to the mountains. But Mia saw through all of it. She knew she was being hidden, protected, removed from danger she didn't fully understand. How much longer, she asked on the second night. 2 more days. Then it's done and I'm coming to get you. You keep saying that because it's true. What if it's not? What if something goes wrong and I'm stuck here and nothing's going wrong? You don't know that. I know I'm good at what I do, and I know I'm coming back to you. That's enough. The silence on the other end was heavy with all the things she wanted to say but didn't. Finally, Aunt Rachel wants to talk to you. Rachel's voice came on, warm but concerned. Logan? She's not sleeping well. Nightmares every night. About what? You, mostly. Different scenarios where you don't come back. She wakes up crying. Logan closed his eyes, pinched the bridge of his nose. Can you give her something? Melatonin, chamomile tea, anything? I've tried. She won't take it. Says she needs to stay awake in case you call. Put her back on. Mia's voice returned, smaller now. Yeah? I need you to sleep. You're going to make yourself sick. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see bad things happening. Then think about good things. Think about what we're going to do when I pick you up. Where do you want to go? Anywhere. Your choice. A pause, then, the beach. I want to go to the beach. Done. We'll drive down to the coast, spend a week doing nothing but swimming and eating overpriced seafood. Promise? I promise. You promised you'd come back too. And I will. Both promises. Same package. After he hung up, Logan sat in his empty house and let the weight of what he was about to do settle over him. Tomorrow night, if everything went according to plan, Konstantin's network would be destroyed. But plans had a way of falling apart the second they met reality. He'd seen it happen dozens of times, perfect strategies that disintegrated into chaos the moment the shooting started. Shaw called him at midnight. Can't sleep? Not even close, you? Been running scenarios in my head. Keep finding new ways it could go wrong. That's the job. Finding problems before they find you. You ever lose anyone? On an operation? Logan was quiet for a moment. Yeah, I've lost people. How do you deal with it? Poorly. I drink too much. I push people away. I tell myself it wasn't my fault even though I know better. Then eventually I put it in a box and pretend it doesn't exist until 3 a.m. when the box opens itself. Shaw laughed, but it was hollow. That's comforting. You want comfort? Talk to a therapist. You want honesty? I'm telling you, it never gets easier. You just get better at carrying it. Chen said you walked away from all this. Why come back? Because walking away doesn't mean you forget how. And because my daughter's safety matters more than my comfort. Fair enough. See you tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. The day of the operation arrived with gray skies and a forecast calling for rain. Logan woke at 5, ran through his morning routine on autopilot, shower, coffee, check equipment. He'd borrowed tactical gear from Shaw, stuff that fit well enough even if it felt foreign after 6 years in civilian clothes. At 7, his phone rang. Chen. We're moving the timeline up, shipments arriving early, tonight at 1800 instead of 2100. Logan's mind immediately started recalculating. That changes positioning. We'll need teams in place by 1700. I know, I'm calling everyone now. Can you be at the warehouse by 0900? I'll be there. He grabbed his gear, headed out. The warehouse was chaos when he arrived. People rushing, phones ringing, maps being redrawn. Shaw was shouting orders to his team while Chen coordinated with federal agents who'd agreed to support the operation. Logan found her in the middle of it all, calm despite the hurricane around her. What happened? Port Authority flagged the container for inspection. Routine check. Constantine's people must have gotten word, decided to move it before official scrutiny landed. Or they know we're watching and they're testing our response time. Either way, we adapt. You said it yourself. We control what we can and react to what we can't. The next 9 hours were a blur of final preparations. Teams deployed to surveillance positions around the 5 warehouse locations. Drones went up, providing aerial coverage. Federal agents coordinated with local PD to lock down potential escape routes. Walsh prepared warrants for simultaneous execution across all of Constantine's known properties. Logan positioned himself in the command vehicle with Chen, Shaw, and the communication specialist who'd keep all the moving pieces synchronized. The vehicle was parked 3 blocks from the port, close enough to respond but far enough to avoid detection. At 17:30, the first reports came in. The container was being unloaded, transferred to 4 trucks just as the intelligence predicted. Logan watched on the drone feed as heavily armed men supervised the transfer. Professional, efficient, military precision. "Those aren't street thugs," Shaw observed. "Those are trained operators." "Told you," Logan said. "This isn't a standard drug bust. Everyone needs to remember that." The trucks pulled out at 17:50, splitting into different directions. Chen's teams followed at a distance, using the aerial surveillance to maintain visual contact without getting close enough to spook them. "Truck 1 heading north on Highway 9, one of the spotters reported. "Speed steady at 55. No indication they've detected us." "Truck 2 going east, same deal." Trucks 3 and 4 staying together, westbound on Route 47. Logan tracked them on the digital map, watching the colored dots move through the city. So far, everything was going according to plan, which meant they were about 5 minutes from when it all went wrong. Truck 1 arrived at the first warehouse at 18:20. Shaw's Alpha team was already in position, hidden in abandoned buildings across the street. The truck pulled into the loading bay, and men started unloading crates. "Alpha team, hold position," Chen ordered. "Wait for all trucks to reach their destinations." "Copy that. Holding." Truck 2 reached its warehouse 7 minutes later. Truck 3 and 4 arrived at separate locations almost simultaneously at 18:35. Logan watched the feeds, counting heads, assessing defensive positions. Each location had at least 8 armed guards. Multiplied by 5 warehouses, that was 40 hostiles, minimum, probably more inside the buildings. "All teams report status," Chen said into her radio. One by one, the team leaders confirmed they were in position and ready to move. Logan listened to the confirmations, feeling the familiar pre-mission tension settle into his bones. This was the moment when everything hung in balance, when the plan existed in its perfect theoretical form right before reality took its first swing at it. "Execute on my mark," Chen said. 3, 2, 1, mark. All 5 teams moved simultaneously. Doors breached, flashbangs detonated, voices shouting commands in the chaos. Logan watched the feeds, his tactical mind automatically processing the information flowing in. Alpha team hit resistance immediately. The guards at their warehouse had been expecting something. They'd fortified the interior, set up defensive positions. Gunfire erupted within seconds of entry. "Alpha taking fire. Multiple hostiles in trench positions." Shaw grabbed his radio. "Suppress and advance. Use your training." Bravo team reported similar conditions. Charlie team went in smooth, encountering minimal resistance until they reached the warehouse's 2nd floor and walked into an ambush. The feed from their body cameras showed muzzle flashes, people diving for cover, return fire lighting up the darkness. Delta and Echo teams secured their locations with less trouble. Either the guards at those warehouses weren't as prepared, or they decided not to die for someone else's cargo. But 3 out of 5 teams in serious firefights was bad math. Logan keyed into Alpha Team's channel. "Alpha Leader, this is Command. Report casualties." 2 wounded, not serious, but we're pinned down. These guys have heavy weapons, possibly explosives. We need support." Chen looked at Shaw. "Send your backup unit to Alpha's position." "Already moving." The next 20 minutes were the longest of Logan's life. He watched the feeds, listened to the radio traffic, tracked casualties and ammunition expenditure. Alpha Team finally broke through with the backup unit's help, secured the warehouse, found crates full of military-grade weapons. Enough firepower to start a small war. Bravo Team cleared their building floor by floor, methodical and brutal. 3 suspects dead, 5 arrested, 2 officers with minor injuries. Charlie team had the worst of it. The ambush on the second floor had been waiting specifically for law enforcement. Claymore mines rigged to doorways, shooters positioned with overlapping fields of fire. They lost one officer in the initial breach, a kid named Morrison, 24 years old, 3 months out of academy training. Logan heard it happen over the radio, the explosion, the screaming, someone calling for a medic. He closed his eyes, felt the familiar weight of a preventable death settling onto his shoulders. "Charlie team, fall back and regroup," he said into the radio, overriding the team leader. "You've got wounded. Get them out. Set a perimeter. Wait for support. Command, we can still... That's an order. Fall back now." Chen looked at him, but didn't countermand it. She understood. Pushing forward with wounded and demoralized troops was how you lost more people. By 1915, all 5 warehouses were secured. The butcher's bill was ugly. 1 dead, 7 wounded, 2 critically. But they'd seized the weapons, arrested 32 suspects, and shut down Constantine's distribution network in one night. Walsh executed the warrants on Constantine's properties simultaneously. Bank accounts frozen, assets seized, safe houses raided. Everything they could touch, they took. Logan sat in the command vehicle, listening to the after-action reports, feeling hollowed out. They'd won. The operation was a success by any objective measure. But Morrison was dead. 2 officers were fighting for their lives in surgery, and somewhere Constantine was probably already planning his next move. "We need to debrief," Chen said quietly. "Go over what happened, figure out lessons learned. Later. Right now I need air." Logan stepped out of the vehicle into the rain that had finally started. It was cold, cleansing, washing away the smell of gunpowder and blood that seemed to cling to everything. He walked away from the command center, away from the organized chaos of evidence collection and suspect processing. Shaw found him 10 minutes later standing in an alley behind a closed restaurant. "You did good in there, calling Charlie team back. That saved lives." "Didn't save Morrison." "No, it didn't. But if you'd let them push forward, we'd have lost more." Logan turned to face him. "Does that make it better, losing 1 instead of 3? "It makes it survivable. That's all we get in this job." "I remember why I left now." "Yeah, most people do about 5 minutes after their first operation, but you came back anyway." "Had to, for Mia. And now she gets her dad back alive. That counts for something." Logan wanted to believe that, wanted to think that Morrison's death served some greater purpose, that the operation's success justified the cost. But he'd been to enough funerals to know that math never balanced. His phone rang. "Mia." He answered, trying to keep his voice steady. "Hey, sweetheart. Is it done? Are you okay?" "Yeah, it's done. I'm fine." "You don't sound fine." "Just tired. Long day. How are you doing?" "I saw the news. They're reporting a major police operation, multiple casualties. That was you, wasn't it? That was your thing." Logan closed his eyes. Of course the news had picked it up. Operations this big didn't stay quiet. "Yeah, that was us." "The casualties? Are you one of them?" "No, I'm not hurt. I wasn't even in the field. I was coordinating from a command vehicle." "Don't lie to me, Dad. I can hear it in your voice. Something bad happened." He couldn't hide it from her. Never could. "We lost someone. An officer. Good kid. Too young." Mia was quiet for a long moment. "I'm sorry." "Yeah, me too." "But you're really okay. You're not just saying that." "I'm really okay. Physically, anyway. Emotionally, I'm pretty wrecked, but that's different. When are you coming to get me?" "Tomorrow. I'll be on the first flight out. We'll get that beach trip, just like I promised. I don't care about the beach anymore. I just want you home. Then I'll come home. We'll skip the beach, stay in the city, order takeout, and watch movies for a week straight. That sounds perfect." After they hung up, Logan returned to the command vehicle. Chen was on her phone, coordinating with the DA's office. When she saw him, she ended the call. "Walsh says we've got enough evidence to bring RICO charges against the entire organization. Everyone we arrested tonight is looking at federal time. No plea deals, no reduced sentences." "And Constantine?" "Still in the wind. But without his money, his weapons, or his distribution network, he's just another criminal with no resources. He'll surface eventually, and when he does, we'll be waiting." "You hope." "I know. People like him always make mistakes when they're desperate. It's just a matter of time. Logan sat down heavily. Morrison's family, are they being notified? Shaw's handling it personally. He's done it before. That doesn't make it easier. No, it makes it worse, because he knows exactly what he's about to do to them. The debriefing happened at midnight in a conference room at police headquarters. All the team leaders, Chen, Walsh, and Logan. They went through the operation minute by minute, identifying what worked and what failed. The intelligence had been accurate but incomplete. They'd known about the weapons, but not about the defensive preparations, the mines, the ambush positions. Someone inside Constantine's organization had made sure his people were ready for a police raid. The informant, Davis said, has to be. He gave us just enough good information to make us trust him, then fed the details back to Constantine. Chen shook her head. The informant's in protective custody, has been since he started cooperating. No way he could have communicated with anyone. Then someone else leaked it, someone who knew about the operation. The room went cold. The idea that there was a mole, someone on the inside feeding information to Constantine, changed everything. Logan spoke carefully. How many people knew the full operational details? Timing, locations, team assignments? Everyone in this room, Chen said, plus the federal agents who provided support, Port Authority supervisors, the judge who signed the warrants. Maybe 20 people total. Start looking at them. Phone records, financial statements, anything that shows contact with known associates of Constantine's network. You really think one of our own sold us out? Shaw's voice was tight with anger. I think Morrison's dead, and we need to know why. If that means investigating everyone, including ourselves, then that's what we do. Walsh pulled out her laptop. I'll start pulling records tonight. If there's a connection, we'll find it. The meeting broke up around 0200. Logan drove home in silence, his mind churning through possibilities. A mole made sense. It explained how Constantine had stayed ahead of Chen's investigation for 2 years, how the ambush on Ramirez had been so perfectly timed, how the warehouses tonight had been fortified and waiting. But it also meant the danger wasn't over. If someone inside was feeding information to Constantine, they'd know about Mia. They'd know she was in Denver, know she was vulnerable, know exactly how to hurt Logan. He called Rachel from his car. She answered groggily. Logan, it's 2 a.m. I need you to take Mia somewhere else. Not your house, hotel, friend's place, anywhere that isn't connected to you. What? Why? Because there might be a leak in the investigation, someone who knows where she is. I can't risk them coming after her. You're scaring me. Good. Be scared, be paranoid. Just keep her safe and don't tell anyone where you're going, not even me. Logan, please, Rachel, I'm asking you to trust me. Take Mia and disappear for a few days. I'll call you when it's clear. He heard rustling, Rachel moving around. Okay, we'll leave in an hour, but you need to tell me what's going on. When it's over, I'll tell you everything. Right now, just go. Logan ended the call, then dialed Chen. She answered immediately, sounding as exhausted as he felt. What's wrong? I just sent Mia deeper underground. If there's a mole, they know about her. We'll find them, Logan. Walsh is already... Not fast enough. These people killed a cop tonight. They won't hesitate to go after a kid if they think it'll hurt their investigation. What do you want me to do? Put protection on Rachel. Real protection, not just a patrol car driving by. Federal marshals, witness protection protocols, the whole thing. That's a lot of resources for a possibility. Morrison's dead because we underestimated them. I'm not making that mistake twice. Chen was quiet. Then, I'll make the calls. Rachel and Mia will have protection by sunrise. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just help us find the leak before anyone else dies. Logan spent the rest of the night going through the operational details himself, looking for patterns. Who knew what and when? Who had access to which pieces of information? Who could have warned Constantine's people without exposing themselves? The answer came at dawn, anticlimactic and brutal. Chen called him at 6 a.m. We found him. Port Authority supervisor named Daniels. He's been on Constantine's payroll for 18 months. Bank deposits matching every major shipment we've tracked. Where is he? In custody. Walsh is questioning him now. He's already admitted to passing information about tonight's operation. Did he know about Mia? No, that was compartmentalized. Only our immediate team had that detail, and Walsh verified everyone. Daniels knew about the warehouses, the timing, the teams, nothing about your family. Logan felt something unclench in his chest. So she's safe. She was always safe. But better paranoid than dead, right? Yeah, better paranoid. He should have felt relief. They'd found the leak, shut down the network, accomplished everything they'd set out to do. But Morrison was still dead. 2 officers were still in surgery, and Constantine was still out there somewhere, planning his next move. Chen seemed to read his mind. This isn't over. You know that, right? I know. Cutting off the money and weapons slows him down, doesn't stop him. So what do we do? Logan thought about it. About Constantine hiding in whatever hole he'd crawled into. About the organization they'd destroyed but the man they hadn't caught. About the threat that would hang over his and Mia's life until Constantine was either dead or in custody. We make him come to us. Set a trap he can't resist. What kind of trap? The kind that uses his biggest weakness against him. His ego. Men like Constantine, they don't just want to win. They want people to know they won. They want credit, recognition, fear. How does that help us? Because we make him think he's won. We leak information that the investigation's over, that we're satisfied with the arrests we made. We make him think it's safe to come out of hiding, and when he does, we take him down. Exactly. Chen was quiet for a moment. That's risky. If he smells the trap, he disappears permanently. So we make it convincing. Real press conferences, real statements from the DA saying the case is closed. We play it like we've given up on finding him. And you? What's your role in this? I'm the bait, the guy who helped destroy his operation. He'll want revenge. We make it look like I'm vulnerable, alone, unprotected. He comes after me, and we're waiting. You're talking about making yourself a target. I've been a target since the night I stopped at Ramirez's crash. At least this way I control the terms. Chen sighed. You're either very brave or very stupid. Can it be both? Yeah, it usually is. They spent the morning refining the plan. Walsh would hold a press conference announcing the successful operation and the closure of the investigation into Constantine's network. Chen would publicly state that while Constantine himself remained at large, the organization was destroyed and no longer an active threat. And Logan would return to his normal life, his normal routes, his normal routine, completely exposed and apparently oblivious. How long before he bites? Logan asked. Days, maybe a week. He'll need time to verify the information, make sure it's not a trap, but eventually his ego won't let him resist. And when he comes, we'll be ready. Surveillance on you 24/7, tactical teams positioned to respond within seconds. You'll never actually be in danger. Logan didn't believe that last part. In his experience, plans that relied on perfect execution always failed at the worst possible moment, but it was the best option they had. The press conference happened at noon. Walsh stood at a podium, flanked by Chen and the police chief, announcing the arrests and seizures. She described the operation in glowing terms, praised the officers involved, mentioned Morrison by name, and promised his family that his sacrifice meant something. Logan watched it on TV from his empty house, feeling the weight of that promise. Morrison's sacrifice had to mean something, which meant Constantine had to fall. No other ending was acceptable. His phone buzzed. Mia. I saw the press conference. They said it's over. They said the operation's over. There's a difference. So we're still in danger. For a little while longer, but I'm working on ending it permanently. How? Logan hesitated. He didn't want to lie to her, but he also didn't want to scare her more than necessary, by making sure the person in charge can't hurt anyone else. That's vague, Dad. It's the best I can give you right now. Trust me? Do I have a choice? You always have a choice, but I'd prefer if you chose to trust me on this one. Mia sighed. Fine. But when this is really over, we're having a long talk about you not keeping secrets. Deal. How's Denver? Rachel's paranoid. We moved to a hotel yesterday, then to a different hotel this morning. She checks the locks every hour and barely sleeps. Good. Stay paranoid. I'll let you know when you can relax. After they hung up, Logan started his preparations. If Constantine was going to come after him, he needed to be ready. He couldn't rely entirely on Chen's surveillance teams. They'd do their best, but mistakes happened. People got tired, distracted, overconfident. Logan wouldn't make those mistakes. He He spent the afternoon reinforcing his house. Better locks, security cameras, motion sensors in the yard. He bought a handgun legally, registered it properly, practiced at a range until his groupings were tight. He mapped out escape routes from every room, identified defensive positions, planned for scenarios ranging from a single attacker to a full assault team. Chen called him that evening. "You're taking this seriously." "You say that like it's surprising." "I say that like I'm watching you on surveillance turning your house into a fortress." Konstantin's a businessman, not a special forces operator. He'll send people, not come himself. Then I'll be ready for his people. And if he sends more people than you can handle alone, then your teams better be as good as you say they are. 3 days passed. Logan drove his routes, delivered his packages, acted like a man who believed the danger was over. But every moment, he was watching. Every car that followed too long, every person who looked twice, every instinct that screamed something was wrong. On the 4th day, Marcus Reeves appeared again. Logan was loading packages into his van when Reeves walked up. Same expensive suit, same practiced smile. "Mr. Pierce, surprised to see you still working. After everything that happened, I'd have thought you'd take some time off." Logan didn't look up from his work. "Bills don't care about my trauma. Packages still need delivering." Philosophical, I appreciate that. Reeves leaned against the van. "My employer wanted me to extend his congratulations. Your cooperation with law enforcement was very effective, quite damaging to his operations." "Not my cooperation. I gave a statement about an accident I witnessed. What the police did with that information wasn't my concern. Come now, we both know you were more involved than that. The tactical planning, the coordination, the warehouse raids, that had your fingerprints all over it." Logan finally looked at him. "Your employer has a lot of opinions about things he can't prove." "He doesn't need proof. He needs closure. You cost him a great deal of money and credibility. That's not something he forgives easily." "Is this the part where you threaten me again? Because last time didn't work out well for you." Reeves's smile never wavered. "This isn't a threat. It's a courtesy. My employer is offering you one final chance to walk away. Leave the city, take your daughter, start over somewhere else. In exchange, he forgets you exist. And if I say no, then what happens next is on you. He's been patient, waited to see if the police presence would die down, if you'd scare easily. But patience has limits, and you've just about exhausted his." Logan closed the van door, turned to face Reeves fully. "Tell your employer I'm not going anywhere. This is my home, my daughter's home. If he wants us gone badly enough to do something about it, well, he knows where to find me." Reeves's expression finally cracked, showing something cold underneath. "You're making a terminal mistake." "I've made a lot of those. Still here. For now." Reeves walked away without another word. Logan watched him go, then immediately pulled out his phone and called Chen. He made contact. "Reeves, same guy as before. Final warning before they escalate." "We saw. Had 2 surveillance units watching. Where's Reeves now?" "Heading east in a black sedan. Plate number, Charlie Sierra 7902. 3. "Got it. We're tracking him. Stay alert, Logan. If Reeves came personally, it means they're moving soon." "How soon?" "Hours, maybe. Definitely not days." Logan finished loading his van, drove his route with half his mind on the job and half on the mirrors. Every intersection could be an ambush. Every alley could hide a shooter. The paranoia was exhausting, but it kept him alive. Night fell. Logan drove home, parked in his driveway, went through his security checks. Everything looked normal. No signs of intrusion, no vehicles that didn't belong. He made dinner he didn't eat, watched TV he didn't see, waited for something to happen. It came at 2200. The motion sensors in the yard triggered first. 3 contacts, moving in coordinated patterns around the house's perimeter. Logan's phone buzzed with alerts from the security system. He checked the camera feeds, saw shadowy figures approaching from multiple angles, professional, tactical. Exactly what he'd expected. Logan hit the panic button that connected directly to Chen's team, then moved to his prepared position in the kitchen. Good sight lines, solid cover, escape route through the back door if things went wrong. He drew his handgun, controlled his breathing, waited. The first figure appeared at the back door, tried the handle, locked. A moment later, the sound of glass breaking. They were coming through a window. Logan's mind went cold and clear, falling into the combat mindset he'd spent 6 years trying to forget. 3 attackers, probably armed, definitely trained. His advantages: home territory, prepared positions, backup en route. Their advantages: numbers, element of surprise if they didn't know he was ready. The first man came through the window into the living room. Logan could see him on the camera feed, moving cautiously, weapon drawn. Standard room clearing technique. The second and third entered through different windows, splitting up to cover more ground faster. Logan waited. Patience was survival. The first attacker entered the kitchen. Logan fired twice, center mass, before the man even registered his presence. The attacker dropped, gurgling, weapon clattering on the tile. Chaos erupted. The other 2 converged on the kitchen, firing blindly. Logan was already moving, using his planned route to circle around behind them. He came up on the second attacker from the side, fired once into his head, moved again before the third could acquire him. But the third was good, better than the others. He'd anticipated Logan's movement, was already turning. They fired simultaneously. Logan felt something punch him in the shoulder, spinning him partially around. His shot went wide, impacting the wall. He dove behind the kitchen counter as return fire chewed through the drywall above him. Pain radiated from his shoulder, hot and sharp, but he couldn't stop to assess it. The attacker was advancing, trying to flush Logan from cover. Standard tactics. Logan waited until the footsteps were close, then popped up and fired 3 times. At least one shot connected. The attacker stumbled, went down hard. Silence fell, broken only by Logan's ragged breathing and the sound of sirens in the distance. He checked each attacker. All 3 were down. 2 definitely dead, the third, the one he'd shot last, still breathing but bleeding badly from a chest wound. Logan's training kicked in automatically. He grabbed kitchen towels, packed the wound, maintained pressure. The man's eyes fluttered open, unfocused with pain and shock. "Where's Constantine?" Logan asked. The man just laughed, wet and bubbling. "You're already dead, just don't know it yet." Then his eyes rolled back and he stopped breathing despite Logan's efforts to keep him alive. Chen's tactical team crashed through the front door seconds later, weapons drawn, clearing rooms. She found Logan in the kitchen, covered in blood, some his, most not, kneeling next to 3 bodies. "You hit?" "Shoulder. Not serious." "The hell it's not, you're bleeding everywhere." She called for paramedics while her team secured the scene. Logan let them guide him to a chair, let them cut away his shirt and pack his shoulder wound. The bullet had gone through cleanly, missing anything vital. Lucky. 3 attackers, he told Chen. Coordinated entry, professional tactics. They knew what they were doing. But you knew better. I knew my house better. That was the difference. The paramedics wanted to take him to the hospital. Logan refused until Chen pulled rank and made it an order. They loaded him into an ambulance, started an IV, monitored his vitals. At the hospital, they cleaned and stitched the wound, gave him antibiotics and pain medication he didn't want. Chen stayed with him through all of it, making calls, coordinating the investigation into the attack. "We got IDs on 2 of the attackers," she said while a nurse was finishing his bandages. "Known associates of Constantine, mid-level enforcers, the kind of people he sends when he wants someone dead." He's getting desperate. Or confident. 3 trained killers should have been enough to take out 1 delivery driver. Guess they didn't know they were dealing with someone who used to be more than a delivery driver. Guess not. Chen handed him his phone. "Call your daughter. She deserves to hear you're alive from you, not from the news." Logan dialed with his good hand. Mia answered before the first ring finished.
"Dad? Oh my God, Dad, are you okay? The news said there was a shooting at our house." "I'm fine, sweetheart. I'm at the hospital, but it's just precautionary. Minor wound, nothing serious." "You got shot?" "Barely. Bullet went right through, didn't hit anything important. I'll be home tomorrow." "You were shot and you're saying it's not serious? Dad, that's insane." "I've had worse. Trust me, this is nothing." Mia was crying now.
"When does this end? When do we get to stop being terrified?" "Soon. Very soon. After tonight, Constantine knows he can't just send people after me. He's going to have to show himself if he wants this finished. And then what? Then we finish it." After they hung up, Logan let himself acknowledge the pain. His shoulder throbbed, his head ached from adrenaline crash, his hands wouldn't stop shaking. He'd killed 2 people tonight, maybe 3. Depending on whether the last one had been salvageable, it should have bothered him more than it did. Chen appeared with coffee. Thought you could use this. I could use about 10 of these in a week of sleep. You'll get the sleep. The coffee you'll have to ration. She sat down next to his bed. You did good tonight, stayed calm, used your training, survived an ambush that should have killed you. I got lucky. Luck is what happens when skill meets opportunity. You were skilled. They gave you the opportunity. What happens now? Chen pulled out her phone, showed him a photo. It was grainy, taken from a distance, but unmistakable. Constantine, or at least the man they believed was Constantine, standing outside a building, talking on his phone. We found him. Our surveillance on Reeves paid off. He led us right to Constantine's safe house. Logan studied the photo. Constantine was younger than he'd imagined, maybe 45, well-dressed, ordinary-looking, the kind of man who could disappear into any crowd. When do we move? We don't. You're injured, you're exhausted, and you've done more than enough. My teams will handle the arrest. Like hell, I'm seeing this through. Logan, he sent people to kill me in my own home. He threatened my daughter. I'm not sitting in a hospital bed while you finish this without me. Chen looked like she wanted to argue, but something in Logan's expression must have convinced her it would be pointless. Fine, but you're not going in. You can be there, but you stay in the command vehicle. Non-negotiable. Deal. They moved at 0400 when the world was at its darkest, and Constantine would be at his least alert. Logan rode in the command vehicle with Chen, his shoulder bandaged and his arm in a sling, watching the feeds as tactical teams surrounded the safe house. It was a mansion in the suburbs, gated property, security cameras everywhere, the kind of place that screamed money and power. All teams in position, Shaw's voice came over the radio. Ready on your command. Chen looked at Logan. Any last-minute insights? Don't assume he's alone. Men like him always have guards, escape routes, contingencies. Expect resistance. Copy that. She keyed her radio. All teams, expect armed resistance. Execute breach on my mark. 3, 2, 1, execute. The teams moved like a coordinated machine. Doors breached simultaneously at front, back, and side entrances. Flashbangs detonated. Voices shouted commands. And then, gunfire. Constantine's guards opened fire immediately, just as Logan had predicted. But this time, the teams were ready. They suppressed the defenders, advanced methodically, cleared room by room. It took 12 minutes to secure the building. When the dust settled, they had 4 guards in custody, 2 dead, and Constantine himself cornered in a panic room on the second floor. Shaw radioed Chen. We have him trapped. He's refusing to come out. Can you breach the door? It's reinforced steel. We'd need explosive charges, and that risks bringing down the whole room. Logan grabbed Chen's radio. Shaw, this is Pierce. Constantine can hear you, right? Through the door? Yeah, we're communicating through an intercom system. Put me on speaker. Let him hear this. Shaw patched him through. Logan took a breath, then spoke. Constantine, my name is Logan Pierce. You sent 3 men to kill me tonight. They failed. Before he died, one of them told me something. He said I was already dead, just didn't know it yet. Wanted to tell you, he had that backwards. You've been dead since the moment you threatened my daughter. You just didn't know it until now. A pause. Then Constantine's voice, heavily accented, tight with fear. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Yeah, I do. You're a coward who hides behind other people while they do your dirty work. You're a businessman who got in over his head and doesn't know how to swim. And right now, you're a trapped rat with nowhere to run. If you kill me, your organization is destroyed. We took your money, your weapons, your people. All you've got left is that room and maybe 6 hours before we cut through the door. After that, you spend the rest of your life in a federal prison, wondering how it all went wrong. Another pause. Longer this time. What do you want? I want you to open the door and surrender. No bargaining, no deals. You come out with your hands up, you cooperate fully, and maybe, you don't die in that room. And if I refuse, then we wait. And eventually, that door opens. Either way, this ends the same. Only difference is whether you walk out or we drag your body out. Silence stretched. Logan could hear Chen's breathing, could hear Shaw's team maintaining position, could hear his own heartbeat counting the seconds. Then, the sound of locks disengaging. The panic room door swung open. Constantine stood in the doorway, hands raised, looking smaller than he had in the photo. Just a man, ordinary and afraid. Shaw's team took him into custody without incident. Chen squeezed Logan's good shoulder. It's over. It's really over. Logan watched as they loaded Constantine into a transport vehicle, surrounded by armed guards and federal agents. The man who'd terrorized this city for 2 years, who'd ordered the deaths of officers and civilians, who'd threatened Mia, reduced to just another criminal in handcuffs. Yeah, Logan said quietly. It's over. But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't quite true. The wounds would heal, the threats would end, but the weight of what he'd done, the lives he'd taken, the choices he'd made, the man he'd become again, that would take longer to put down. Chen drove him back to the hospital over his objections. The sun was rising as they pulled into the parking lot, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. What are you going to do now? She asked. Call my daughter, tell her it's safe to come home, then sleep for about a week. And after that, going back to delivering packages? Logan thought about it. About the van, the routes, the quiet life he'd built. About the skills he'd used these past days, the part of himself he'd rediscovered. About the fact that he was good at this. Better than he wanted to admit. I don't know, he said honestly. Ask me again when I'm not bleeding and exhausted. Chen smiled. Fair enough. But when you figure it out, let me know. I could use someone like you on a permanent basis. You trying to recruit me, detective? I'm trying not to waste talent. Think about it. She helped him out of the vehicle, walked him inside. Logan's phone buzzed. A text from Mia. The news says they got him. Is it really over? Logan typed back with one hand. It's really over. Come home. Mia's flight landed at 3 in the afternoon. Logan waited at arrivals with his arm still in a sling, wearing the same clothes he'd worn home from the hospital, because putting on a fresh shirt with one functional arm was harder than it looked. He'd tried twice, given up, decided Mia had seen him in worse states. She came through the gate with Rachel, spotted him immediately, and ran. Logan barely had time to brace himself before she crashed into him, wrapping her arms around his waist and squeezing hard enough to make his shoulder scream. He didn't care. Easy, sweetheart. I'm still a little broken. She pulled back just enough to look up at him, her eyes red and swollen. You look terrible. You should see the other guys. No, that's not funny. Little bit funny. Rachel approached more carefully, her expression caught somewhere between relief and anger. You couldn't have warned us before the news showed footage of your house shot to pieces? There wasn't time. Things moved fast. Things always move fast with you, Logan. That's the problem. But she hugged him anyway, gentle around his injured shoulder. I'm glad you're alive. Mia needs you. I know. Thank you for keeping her safe. She didn't make it easy. Tried to buy a bus ticket back here twice. I had to threaten to handcuff her to the bed. Mia didn't look even slightly apologetic. I told you I wasn't leaving him alone. And I told you staying would get you killed. Seems like we were both stubborn. They collected Mia's bag and headed to the parking garage. Rachel was catching a flight back to Denver in 2 hours. She'd only come to make sure Mia got home safely. She gave them both one more hug, made Logan promise to call if he needed anything, and disappeared into the crowd. In the car, Mia was quiet for a long time. Then, the news said 3 men broke into our house, that you fought them all. Yeah. They said 2 of them died. Logan's hands tightened on the wheel. Yeah. Were you the one who... Yes. I killed them. They came to kill me and I defended myself. Mia processed that, staring out the window. How do you feel about it? Honest question. Deserved an honest answer. I don't know yet. Part of me knows I didn't have a choice. Part of me wishes there'd been another way, and part of me is just glad I'm still here to have this conversation with you. Which part is winning? The glad part. By a lot. She nodded slowly. Good. Because I'm glad too. Even if you did scare me half to death. I scared myself a little bit too, if it helps. It doesn't, but thanks for saying it. The house looked worse in daylight. Yellow police tape across the doors, boarded up windows, bullet holes visible in the siding. The yard was torn up from the tactical teams. The garden Mia had helped plant last spring trampled flat. Mia stared at it, her face going pale. We can't live here anymore. Not right now. But we can fix it. New windows, patch the walls, replant the garden. It'll take time, but we can make it home again. What if I can't sleep here? What if every time I close my eyes, I see men with guns breaking in? Logan pulled into the driveway, put the car in park. Then we deal with that. Therapy, maybe. Or we move if we have to, whatever you need to feel safe. What about what you need? What I need is for you to be okay. Everything else is secondary. They sat there for a moment, looking at the house that had been their safe place and was now just another crime scene. Logan's phone buzzed. Chen, the DA wants to meet with you tomorrow. Go over your testimony for Constantine's trial. What time? 10 a.m. You up for it? Logan glanced at Mia. She was still staring at the house, her jaw tight. Yeah, I'll be there. How's Mia? Processing. It's a lot. It's a lot for anyone. You did good, Logan. Both of you did. After they hung up, Logan turned to Mia. We're staying at a hotel tonight. I already booked a room. 2 beds, room service, all the terrible movies you want to watch. What about our stuff? I grabbed some things before I came to get you. Clothes, your laptop, some books. The rest can wait. Okay. She unbuckled her seatbelt, then paused. Dad, I'm proud of you for what you did, for keeping us safe. I know I gave you a hard time about it, but I'm proud. Logan felt something tight in his chest ease slightly. Thank you, sweetheart. That means a lot. The hotel was generic and clean and blessedly anonymous. They checked in, ordered pizza, and spent the evening watching action movies that Logan critiqued mercilessly. That's not how tactical entries work. You don't just run in shooting. It's a movie, Dad. It's supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be believable. Nobody moves like that in real life. You moved like that last week. I move smart. There's a difference. Mia threw a pillow at him. He caught it one-handed, grinning despite the pain in his shoulder. Around midnight, when Mia had finally fallen asleep, Logan stepped out onto the balcony. The city spread out below him, lights twinkling in the darkness, life continuing like nothing had happened. People in those buildings had no idea that a week ago, a criminal network had been operating in their city, that officers had died stopping it, that a delivery driver had become something else for a few days to protect his daughter. His phone rang. Ramirez. Heard you got shot. You okay? Flesh wound. I've had worse. Heard you took down 3 attackers by yourself. That's not a flesh wound. That's a war story. I don't collect war stories anymore. Yeah, you do. You just pretend you don't. How's Mia? Scared, angry, proud, all of it at once. Sounds about right. Sarah was the same way after my surgery, oscillating between wanting to hug me and wanting to kill me herself for putting her through it. How is Sarah? Good. We moved up the wedding, decided life's too short to wait for the perfect beach weather. Getting married next month at the courthouse. You should come. I'd like that. Bring Mia. She deserves to see that sometimes the good guys get happy endings. After they hung up, Logan stayed on the balcony, watching the city breathe. Ramirez was right about one thing. Happy endings did happen. Not often, not easily, but they existed. The question was whether Logan could build one for himself and Mia after everything that had happened. The meeting with the DA the next morning was efficient and uncomfortable. Walsh walked Logan through what his testimony would cover. The night he found Ramirez, the approach by Reeves, the home invasion, everything. They'd use it to establish Constantine's pattern of violence, his willingness to kill anyone who threatened his operation. His lawyers are going to try to discredit you, Walsh said. They'll paint you as some vigilante who inserted himself into police business. Be ready for that. I can handle it. Can you? Because juries are unpredictable. They might see you as a hero, or they might see you as someone who escalated a situation that could have been resolved peacefully. 3 men broke into my house to kill me. How exactly was I supposed to resolve that peacefully? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying be prepared for them to twist it, to make you look like someone who wanted violence. Logan thought about the men he'd killed, the way their bodies had fallen, the blood, the silence after. I didn't want it. I just knew how to survive it. Then that's what you say on the stand. Simple, direct, honest. Don't embellish, don't justify. Just tell the truth and let the jury decide. The trial was set for 3 months out. Until then, Logan was a material witness, which meant restrictions on his travel and regular check-ins with the DA's office. It also meant Konstantin's lawyers would probably try to depose him, dig into his background, find anything they could use. Chen called him as he was leaving the DA's office. How'd it go? Walsh thinks the defense is going to paint me as a vigilante. Are they wrong? I'm not a vigilante. I was just trying to protect my family. I know, but optics matter. And the optics of a former combat medic with tactical training killing 2 people in his home? That can look bad if they spin it right. So, what do I do? You tell the truth, you trust the system, and you let me handle the rest. What's the rest? Making sure the jury knows who Konstantin really is, what he's done, how many people he's hurt. By the time we're done, they won't care how many of his people you killed. They'll just be grateful you survived. Logan wanted to believe that, wanted to trust that justice would work the way it was supposed to, but he'd seen too many times when it didn't. When the wrong people walked free, and the right people paid the price. What about the other arrests? Daniels, the port supervisor, the guards from the warehouses? Rolling over fast, Daniels already gave us everything he knows about Konstantin's financial network. The guards are cooperating in exchange for reduced sentences. We're building a case so airtight, Konstantin's lawyers won't have room to breathe. And Konstantin himself, how's he holding up? Badly. Turns out being a criminal mastermind is easier when you have money and resources. Take those away, and he's just another scared man in a cell. Logan felt a grim satisfaction at that. Konstantin had tried to make him afraid, had tried to use fear as a weapon. Now he was drowning in his own fear, and there was a certain poetry to it. The house repairs took 2 weeks. Contractors replaced the windows, patched the walls, fixed the damaged siding. Logan hired a landscaping service to restore the yard. The bullet holes in the kitchen were harder. They'd gone deep into the structural beams. The contractors recommended replacing the entire wall. It's cheaper than reinforcing it, the foreman said. And honestly, after something like this, most people want a fresh start anyway. Logan agreed. They tore out the wall, rebuilt it from scratch. When they were done, the kitchen looked almost new. You couldn't see where the violence had happened. Couldn't see the bloodstains they'd scrubbed for hours. Couldn't see any evidence that 3 men had died there. But Logan saw it. Every time he walked into that room, he saw the bodies, heard the gunfire, felt the impact of the bullet hitting his shoulder. The contractors could rebuild the walls, but they couldn't rebuild his peace of mind. Mia struggled too. She'd come home after the repairs were finished, walked through the house room by room, and ended up in tears in her bedroom. Logan found her sitting on her bed, hugging her knees. "I can't do this," she said. "I can't sleep here knowing what happened. We can move, find a new place. But this is our home. This is where Mom's pictures are, where all our memories are. I don't want to lose that." Logan sat down next to her. "Then we don't lose it. We make new memories. Better ones. Enough that eventually the bad night becomes just one night out of hundreds of good ones." "How long does that take?" "I don't know, but we've got time to figure it out." They compromised. Logan set up a bedroom for himself downstairs in what had been a home office. Mia kept her room upstairs but installed so many nightlights it looked like a landing strip. They got a dog, a rescue mutt named Bear, who was equal parts German Shepherd and anxiety disorder. Bear barked at everything, which made him terrible company but excellent security. Slowly, carefully, they rebuilt their routine. Logan went back to work, driving his routes, delivering packages. But now he carried his phone in a pocket where he could reach it instantly. Now he varied his routes, took different streets home, checked his mirrors obsessively. The paranoia had settled into his bones and wouldn't leave. Mia went back to school. Her teachers had been briefed on what happened, offered support and understanding. Most of her friends thought it was cool that her dad had fought off criminals. A few were scared of him now, which hurt more than Logan wanted to admit. "They think I'm dangerous," Mia told him one evening. "Like my dad being some kind of action hero makes me different." "You are different, but not because of me. Because you survived something most people never have to face." "I didn't survive anything. I was in Denver. You're the one who survived. You survived waiting, not knowing if I'd come back. That takes a different kind of strength." She thought about that. "Is that why you drink coffee at like midnight now? Because you can't sleep?" Logan had hoped she hadn't noticed. Yeah, nightmares. About the men you killed? About all of it. The shooting, the operation, Morrison. All the ways it could have gone worse. Does it help? The coffee? No. But it gives me something to do besides lie in bed and think. Maybe you should talk to someone. Like a therapist. Maybe. Dad, I'm serious. You can't just push this down and pretend it's fine. I'm not pretending it's fine. I'm just managing it. By not sleeping and drinking coffee at midnight? That's not managing. That's avoiding. Logan looked at his 11-year-old daughter and saw someone far older looking back. When had she gotten so wise? Okay, he said. I'll find a therapist, if you do too. Deal. They both started therapy the following week. Logan's therapist was a veteran herself, someone who understood the weight of taking a life in defense of yourself or others. She didn't try to make him feel better about it. She just gave him tools to process it, to acknowledge the reality without letting it consume him. Mia's therapist specialized in childhood trauma. She taught Mia breathing exercises, visualization techniques, ways to manage the anxiety that came with every unexpected sound. It helped. Not quickly, not magically, but incrementally. Logan started sleeping in 3-hour chunks instead of 90-minute ones. Mia stopped waking up screaming. Bear stopped barking at shadows and started barking at actual threats, like the mailman and squirrels. Life found a new equilibrium. Different from before, scarred and cautious, but functional. Chen called him 6 weeks after Constantine's arrest. How are you doing? Better. Still not great, but better. You thought about my offer? About joining the department? Logan had thought about it, more than he wanted to admit. The idea of using his skills for something productive, of helping people instead of just surviving, it appealed to him in ways he hadn't expected. I'm not a cop, Chen. I don't have the training or the temperament. You don't need to be a cop. I'm talking about consulting, tactical planning, training programs, helping officers prepare for high-risk situations. You'd be civilian staff, not sworn personnel. What would that look like? Part-time to start? Maybe 10 hours a week? You'd work with our training division, develop scenarios, teach techniques, share what you know so the next operation goes better than the last one. Morrison still died. Yes, and if you'd been there from the beginning, training the teams properly, maybe he wouldn't have. That's the point. We can't change what happened. We can only try to prevent it from happening again. Logan thought about Morrison. 24 years old, fresh from the academy, killed in a doorway because he didn't recognize the signs of a trap. Thought about all the other young officers who'd faced similar situations without the experience to handle them. I need to talk to Mia first. This affects her too. Of course. Take your time. The offer stands whenever you're ready. That evening, Logan made dinner while Mia did homework at the kitchen table. Bear sprawled across her feet, snoring loud enough to rattle the windows. It was domestic and peaceful and exactly the kind of life Logan had built to escape the chaos. But the chaos had found him anyway. And now he had to decide whether to keep running from it or turn and face it on his own terms. Detective Chen offered me a job, he said while plating pasta. Mia looked up from her math. Doing what? Training police officers, teaching them tactical stuff, how to handle dangerous situations, part-time, maybe 10 hours a week. Would you be in danger? No, it's all classroom work, scenario planning, no field work. Then why do you look like you're asking permission? Because it means staying connected to that world, the one that almost got us killed. I wanted to make sure you're okay with that. Mia set down her pencil. Dad, I'm never going to be fully okay with you doing dangerous things. But this isn't dangerous. This is you helping people not die. That's different. It keeps me involved, keeps that door open. Maybe that door needs to stay open. You're good at this stuff. Better than you want to admit. And if you can use that to save lives instead of just taking them, yeah, I'm okay with that. Sit. Logan brought the plates to the table, sat down across from her. When did you get so mature? When my dad fought off armed criminals in our kitchen, kind of forces you to grow up fast. I'm sorry about that. Stop apologizing. You did what you had to do. Now do what you want to do. What Logan wanted was complicated. He wanted safety and peace and boring routine. But he also wanted purpose. Wanted to feel like the skills he'd spent years developing meant something beyond survival. He called Chen the next day. I'm in. Part-time consulting, but I have conditions. Name them. No field work, no operations. I trains, I plan, I advise, but I'm not carrying a weapon into active situations anymore. Done. What else? Complete transparency with Mia. She gets to know what I'm working on, what cases I'm involved with. No secrets. I can work with that. Anything else? Yeah, you promise me that the training I provide actually gets used. That it's not just checkbox compliance. I'm not interested in teaching people things they'll ignore. The training will be mandatory for all tactical team members. Annual recertification. If they don't pass your scenarios, they don't deploy. How's that? That works? He started the following Monday. The training facility was a converted warehouse on the edge of the city, filled with mock buildings and scenario rooms. Shaw met him at the entrance. Heard you're joining the team.
Chen thinks you walk on water. Chen's optimistic. I'm just a guy who's seen some things.
That's exactly what we need. Come on, I'll show you around. The facility was impressive. They had mock apartments, office buildings, warehouses, every environment a tactical team might encounter. Shaw explained their current training regimen, which focused primarily on room clearing and active shooter response. What about ambush recognition? Logan asked. Pre-attack indicators, defensive positioning, tactical withdrawal when things go wrong? Shaw looked uncomfortable. We cover some of that. But most of our training is offense-focused. Hit hard, hit fast, control the situation. That works great until you walk into a trap, like Charlie team did at the warehouse. So what would you do different? Logan spent the next 3 hours walking Shaw through scenarios where aggression got you killed, where the smart move was recognizing danger and adjusting before committing, where survival mattered more than speed. Shaw took notes, asked questions, pushed back on some points. By the end, he was nodding. This is good. Different from what we're used to, but good. When can you start implementing it? Next week. I need to design the scenarios first, make sure they're realistic. But once that's done, we can run the entire tactical division through them. Word spread quickly. Within 2 weeks, Logan was teaching 3 classes a week, working with everyone from rookie patrol officers to veteran SWAT members. Some of them resented being taught by a civilian. Most recognized the value in what he was offering. One of the rookies, a kid named Marcus who reminded Logan painfully of Morrison, stayed after class one day. Mr. Pierce, can I ask you something? Sure. How do you deal with it? The fear. Going into situations where you might die. Logan thought about it. You don't deal with the fear. You acknowledge it, use it to stay sharp, but you don't let it control you. Fear is information. It tells you danger is present. What you do with that information, that's what matters. Were you scared during the home invasion? Terrified. But I trained enough that my body knew what to do even when my brain was screaming. That's what we're trying to give you here. The muscle memory that saves your life when conscious thought is too slow. Marcus nodded slowly. Thank you for doing this, for teaching us. After he left, Logan sat in the empty classroom, looking at the training scenarios he'd designed. Each one was based on something he'd experienced or witnessed. Each one was a lesson bought with someone's blood. If even one officer survived because of what Logan taught them, it would be worth it. The trial began 3 months later, exactly as scheduled. Logan testified on the second day, walking the jury through everything, finding Ramirez, the approach by Reeves, the home invasion. Constantine's lawyers tried to make him look violent, tried to suggest he'd escalated situations unnecessarily. Walsh shut them down every time. Mr. Pierce, when the 3 armed men entered your home, did you fire first? No, I waited until they were inside, until I had positive identification as threats. And when you did fire, did you give warning shots? No. Warning shots are a movie concept. In real life, you shoot to stop the threat. Did these men represent a credible threat to your life? They broke into my home armed with weapons, having been sent by a man who'd already tried to have me killed. Yes, they were a credible threat. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they came back, the verdict was unanimous on all counts. Constantine was convicted of racketeering, weapons trafficking, attempted murder, and a dozen other charges. The judge sentenced him to 40 years in federal prison without possibility of parole. Logan wasn't in the courtroom when the sentence was read. He was at home with Mia, making dinner, living the quiet life he'd fought so hard to preserve. Chen called him with the news. He's done. Constantine's going away for the rest of his life. Good. That's it? Just good? What do you want me to say? I'm not celebrating. A lot of people died before we stopped him. I'm just relieved it's over. It is over. You can stop looking over your shoulder now. Logan wasn't sure he could. The paranoia had become habit, the vigilance second nature, but maybe with time that would fade too. Thanks for calling, Chen, and thanks for everything else. You gave me a purpose when I needed one. You gave yourself the purpose. I just pointed you at it. 6 months after the trial, Logan's consulting work had expanded. He was teaching not just tactical teams, but regular patrol officers, teaching them de-escalation techniques, threat assessment, survival mindset. The department credited his training with reducing officer injuries by 30%. Ramirez and Sarah had their wedding, small ceremony at the courthouse, reception at a restaurant overlooking the water. Logan and Mia attended, watched two people who'd survived trauma find happiness together. Think you'll ever get married again? Mia asked during the reception. Logan looked at her in surprise. Where'd that come from? Just wondering. You're not that old, and you're not terrible looking. Maybe someone would put up with you. Gee, thanks. I'm serious. Don't you get lonely? I've got you, and Bear and work that matters. That's enough for now. But what about later, when I'm grown and gone? Logan hadn't thought that far ahead. Hadn't let himself imagine a life where Mia wasn't the center of everything. We'll see. Right now, I'm focused on making sure you get to grow up and leave. Everything else is secondary. But the question stayed with him. What did life look like when Mia went to college, started her own life? Didn't need him anymore? The training work would continue. But would that be enough? A year after Constantine's conviction, Logan got a call from an unexpected source. A private security firm in Denver was developing a training program for corporate security personnel. They'd heard about his work with the police department, wanted to know if he'd consult. It would be 2 days a month, the recruiter explained. Flying to Denver, running scenarios with our teams, providing feedback. We'd pay well and cover all expenses. I don't do private security work. This isn't armed protection. It's crisis management, evacuation planning, active shooter response for corporate environments. Your police work translates directly. Logan thought about it. 2 days a month in Denver, close to Rachel, who'd been asking him to visit, close to the mountains, which he'd always loved, and the money would help. Therapy wasn't cheap, and Mia would need college tuition soon. Let me think about it. I'll call you back in a week. He discussed it with Mia that evening. She was 13 now, shooting up like a weed, looking more like Emma every day. You should do it, she said immediately. It's 2 days a month away from home. Dad, I'm 13. I can handle being alone for 2 days. Rachel lives there. You could see her, take a break from being super dad. I like being super dad. You need more in your life than just me and work. This is good. New challenge, new place. Do it. Logan took the job. The Denver work was different from his police training, less tactical, more preventive. But it used the same core skills, the same understanding of how violence unfolded and how to interrupt it. He flew out once a month, spent 2 days working with corporate security teams, then flew home. On the trips, he'd have dinner with Rachel, talk about Mia and Emma and the life they'd all shared. Emma would be proud of you, Rachel said during one visit. Of what you've become. What have I become? Someone who uses his pain for something productive. Someone who survived and then helped others survive. That's not nothing. Logan wanted to believe that, wanted to think Emma would approve of the path he'd taken, but he'd never know for sure, and that uncertainty was something he'd learned to carry. Mia thrived in the new equilibrium. She made honor roll, joined the robotics club, started talking about colleges she wanted to visit. The nightmares faded. The anxiety became manageable. She was healing, and watching her heal helped Logan heal too. On the second anniversary of the night he'd found Ramirez bleeding on the roadside, Logan took Mia to the beach. They'd talked about it for so long, promised it to each other through all the chaos. Now, finally, they were doing it. They rented a small house on the coast, spent a week doing nothing but swimming and eating seafood and watching sunsets. On the last evening, they built a fire on the beach, sat watching the flames dance against the darkness. You know what I realized? Mia said. That night changed everything. But it didn't destroy us. We're still here, still together, still okay. More than okay. Yeah, more than okay. She leaned against his shoulder. I'm glad you stopped. At the crash. Even though it was scary and dangerous and everything went crazy, I'm glad you stopped. Why? Because it reminded me who you are. Not just my dad, but someone who helps people. Someone who does the right thing even when it costs him. I want to be like that. Logan felt something warm spread through his chest. You already are. They sat in silence, watching the fire burn down to embers. In the distance, waves crashed against the shore, eternal and unchanging. The world continued turning, indifferent to their small struggles and small victories. But they'd survived. They'd taken the worst night of their lives and transformed it into purpose, into teaching, into healing, into making sure fewer people had to face what they'd faced. What are you thinking about? Mia asked. How lucky I am to have you, to have survived, to have found something that matters. The training work? That's part of it, but mostly just being here, with you, knowing we made it through. Mia smiled. We did make it through, and we're going to keep making it through, whatever comes next. Whatever came next turned out to be college applications and driving lessons and all the normal chaos of raising a teenager. The dramatic violence receded into memory, still present but no longer defining. Logan continued his training work, expanded it to include presentations at conferences, articles in law enforcement journals. He became known as an expert in tactical survival, someone who'd lived through situations most people only read about, but he never forgot where it started. Never forgot Ramirez bleeding in that patrol car, or the choice Logan had made to stop. That single decision had spiraled into everything that followed. The violence, the fear, the discovery that he was still the person he'd been 6 years ago, just buried under routine and distance. Shaw called him 3 years after Constantine's conviction. We've got a situation. Multiple hostages, armed suspects, possible explosives. Could use your input. Logan drove to the scene, found Shaw coordinating with SWAT. They walked through the scenario. Office building. Employees held on the 3rd floor, suspects making demands but no clear motive. What's your read? Shaw asked. Logan studied the building, mapped sight lines and entry points. They're not professional. Professionals would have better positioning. This feels personal, desperate. Someone who's cornered and lashing out. So we can talk them down? Maybe, but we prepare for the alternative. Teams here and here, sniper coverage from those windows, tactical withdrawal route if things deteriorate. We give negotiation a chance, but we don't rely on it. The situation resolved 4 hours later. No shots fired, all hostages safe, suspects in custody. Shaw credited Logan's planning with preventing a massacre. You've got good instincts. Ever think about doing this full time? No, I like consulting. I like teaching. I like going home at the end of the day knowing I helped without having to carry the weight of command. Fair enough, but if you ever change your mind, the offer stands. Logan went home that night, found Mia studying for her SATs at the kitchen table. Bear had his head in her lap, drooling on her notebook. Normal, safe, exactly what Logan had fought for. How'd it go? She asked without looking up. Everyone came home. That's all that matters. You helped with that. I provided input. The officers did the work. Still, you were part of saving lives. That's good. Logan sat down across from her. When did you get so wise? When I had to grow up fast because my dad fought criminals in our kitchen. We've been over this. Right. How could I forget? She finally looked up, smiled. I'm proud of you. For what you do. For who you are. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. I know. And I'm proud of you. For surviving all of this. For being strong when I needed you to be. We're pretty great, huh? Yeah, we really are. 5 years after that storm-soaked night on Highway 47, Logan stood in front of a room full of police recruits, teaching them tactical awareness. He showed them scenarios where aggression failed, where patience succeeded, where recognizing danger saved lives. One recruit raised her hand. Sir, how do you know when to engage and when to withdraw? Logan thought about all the times he'd made that choice, about the attackers in his kitchen, about the operations he'd planned, about every moment where the decision mattered. You assess the stakes. What are you protecting? What's the cost of action versus inaction? And you trust your training. If you've prepared properly, your body knows what to do even when your mind is screaming. Have you ever been in a situation like that? Where you had to choose? Logan met her eyes. Yes, multiple times. And I'm standing here because I made the right choices. My job is making sure you know how to make those choices too. After class, Chen found him in the hallway. She was a captain now, running the entire organized crime division. Good session today. The recruits love you. They love anyone who isn't their regular instructors. They love you because you're real. You've lived this. It shows. Logan packed up his materials. How's Ramirez? Promoted to detective, working gang crimes now. Still grateful you saved his life. He'd have done the same for me. Maybe. But you're the one who actually did it. That matters. Logan thought about that often. How one choice, one decision to stop at a crashed car had changed everything. Had pulled him back into a world he'd tried to leave. Had nearly cost him everything. But had also given him purpose. Given him a way to use his pain productively. On the 5-year anniversary of that night, Logan drove out to Highway 47. Found the spot where Ramirez's patrol car had wrapped around the guardrail. The guardrail had been replaced, the road repaired. No evidence remained of what had happened there. But Logan remembered. Would always remember. The rain, the blood, the desperate fight to keep someone alive. The moment when he'd chosen to step back into the life he'd left behind. His phone buzzed. Mia, texting from college 3 states away. Thinking about you today? About that night. Crazy how much changed, Logan typed back. Changed for the better. We survived. We grew. We found purpose. Love you, Dad. Thanks for being brave when it mattered. Love you too, sweetheart. He sat in his van watching the road where it had all begun. Cars passed, oblivious. Life continued. And somewhere out there, other people were making similar choices. To stop or keep driving, to help or look away, to step into danger or run from it. Logan had stopped, had helped, had stepped into danger. And because of that choice, he'd found a way to make sure more people survived their own terrible nights. He'd taught dozens of officers, planned hundreds of scenarios, helped prevent violence before it started. Morrison's death still haunted him. The men he'd killed still appeared in his dreams. But alongside those ghosts were the people he'd saved, the lives preserved through training and preparation and hard-won wisdom. It wasn't redemption. Logan didn't believe in that. But it was purpose. And in the end, purpose was enough. He started the van, pulled back onto Highway 47, and drove toward home. Toward Mia's next visit. Toward the next class he'd teach. Toward whatever came next, knowing he was ready for it. The rain had stopped years ago. But Logan Pierce, former combat medic, former delivery driver, now someone who taught others to survive, carried the lessons of that storm-soaked night forward. Not as weight, but as wisdom. Not as trauma, but as transformation. And in that transformation, he'd found something better than the quiet life he'd built. He'd found meaning. That was enough. That was everything.